Hi. Sorry. I'm sorry. We are sorry for being late, but we're not sorry for go live. It is always a pleasure when we're joined by esteemed guests. When Asa looks concerned at me, blaming me for joining late, even though I wasn't late. Today, we blame our guest, Everborn, as he restarts his PC. Apologies, we were hearing buzzing sounds and broken mics, but this is the way it goes with live shows. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Shout out to the 255 very patient people. We will make it up to you with a mad dag show as I drink the darkest of coffees. Hopefully I don't need to use the toilet whilst I'm on the show. Thank you so much for joining us. Before we introduce our guest, Asa, how are you?
Yeah, no, I'm great. Thank you, all of those people, for waiting for that long. The 25 minutes gave me just enough time to become accustomed to the real world again, because I've not been living there very much lately. But I'm getting there now. I will dispute the claim that Gaz was on time. He wasn't 25 minutes late, but Gaz was definitely not on time, and that is an outrageous claim that nobody should put.
I was signed in. I just went to make a coffee.
Outrageous claim. I'm not having it.
Fine. Apologies. We'll do better next week, maybe, hopefully. We can't predict all these problems. But this next gentleman knows this, running his own show. It's Game Talks Live's Fun Gaming. What's up?
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me, guys. And Asa, thank you very much. It's good to be here. I can't wait to talk about, everything that we've got, all these topics that you've got written down that you, have been working on for the last, who knows how long, 10, 15 minutes. But no, I'm just kidding. We were in a party chat together right before this. So it's like
Rand.
Yeah, so we're just chatting with Rand, Colt, Hargeet, and, the boys. We're always just chatting away, and, we're here. I'm happy. Go live. Let's do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it, ladies and gentlemen. Make it up for technical issues. Oh, yeah. This is how we do it. So much noise. Even that was bad for me. Thank you. We're going to get into the first topic. Everborn Saga will join in, and then your audio quality is going to deteriorate tremendously if he has the same issues. Before we do that, gentlemen, what games have you been playing? Asa, you were saying you've just ventured into the real world. What does that mean? Have you been playing Kayak VR, you pro gamer?
I was lying. No, I've been playing some VR this week, but just before this show, I tried to put a little bit of time into Wolong just so I could keep up with the conversation and see what's going on there. So I revisited Pancake Games, and it felt like a trip back to the Xbox 360 area. I'm going to be honest, that game is not necessarily for me, but I gave it a go. Had a little play of a Pancake. I've obviously been playing a lot of Gran Turismo and things like that as well in the virtual reality land, and I've lined up a fresh backlog of VR games to get into. But guys, you've been playing Wolong, so I'm not going to ask you. Fons, what have you been up to?
I have not been playing any virtual reality. Zero.
Oh, sad. You're breaking my heart.
So I'm a pancake gamer for sure. Not a flat earther, but a pancake gamer. I have been playing Shadow Warrior 3. I gave up on Atomic Heart. I'm sorry, guys out there that love this game. I just don't think it's not for me. I'll be polite. It's not for me.
What threw you off?
It's clunky. I'll say that it's very clunky. I don't like the button mapping. I think it just sometimes some of the buttons don't register when you hit them. It's not for me. I could say a lot more than that, but it's not for me. I'll just say that. Yeah. So yeah, I moved on, and I'm playing Shadow Warrior 3 because I've never played it before, and it's in Game Pass. So I was like, I'll give it a try. It's like the poor man's Doom. It's just mindless shooting and fun. It's fun at the end of the day. It's a video game, and I'm having fun with it. So that's what I'm playing.
Yeah. A lot of people, I think Zorka is playing that as well. A lot of people say the same thing about Atomic Heart. That's really clunky. I had a friend, and what's up chat, Dean was saying the same thing. It's like, really clunky and slow and just buggy, and it crashed on him a few times. Then other people are saying, you know what, I'm really loving it. It's really giving me BioShock vibes. When I haven't got into the gunplay at all, I did the little intro, and I've like, there was a like almost tangible atmosphere, but
why I don't understand the BioShock vibe that some people are talking about, because I've played the BioShocks. It doesn't give me BioShock vibes. It gives me more Metro Exodus type vibes, and it's not as good as those games were. It's just not.
Yeah,
I think the enemy types are kind of boring, and you know, I don't know. It's just not it's not great to me. It's just not.
Yeah. I see what you mean by poor man's Doom, by the way, when you describe Shadow Warrior. That's
it is. It's very much so. I mean, it's very Doom-esque in the way it plays, but the characters that you fight against are just goofy. They look really like terrible, some of them, but it's fun. It's a goofy game. Even the the protagonist doesn't take himself too seriously. He says a lot of things that it's just wacky and stuff, but you know, it is what it is. It's a good game.
Yeah, I mean, I loved Doom. The only problem with Doom is I feel like that's a game I can really only play on PC, because I loved the snappy nature of it, and replicating that on controller just didn't feel as satisfying. And now my PC's getting older. I'm just fully into Xbox, really enjoying playing on Xbox only. And I don't know, maybe I will try Shadow Warrior. Maybe that will fit.
Well, when you give Atomic Heart a try, you know, I'm not telling anybody not to try it or not to play it. Seriously, because a lot of people do love it. It's just, it just didn't click with me. There was things about it, even in the menu system. I'd be trying to upgrade my weapons and stuff, and sometimes the buttons wouldn't even register. I'm hitting the button over and over. I'm going like, why isn't this working? It's frustrating at times. It's like, make your game work, okay? And then other people will argue with me and tell me, oh, my buttons work every time. And I'm like, well, sorry, mine's not working, and it's not my controller. It works with every other game. So must be
other people
Heart.
are saying the same thing as well. Like, there's just the controls are clunky. They say it's buggy. They say the enemy designs aren't that great. So it's like you're not alone. And then there's all the myriad of reviews out there, which are pretty much those are pretty common.
And let's not even talk about the dialogue. Dialogue is just atrocious. Crispy critters. Man, I don't want to hear that. And then you've got the over-sexualized vending machine. It's just, it's dumb.
What?
It's just dumb. Yeah.
I don't know
you would love that. You would love that. You would sit there and talk to her. Yeah.
It's on Game Pass.
Or talk to it, I should say.
What's up with this too? Because in the trailer they show these, I don't know how to explain it, two like silver robotic, like really sexualized robots.
Oh, the robot twins?
Yeah, why is that?
Yeah.
Like, I was like, why is this?
The game is all over the map.
It's
all over the place. I don't know. It's all over the place. But again, I don't understand the BioShock analogies here. I don't understand the comparisons, really. It doesn't... BioShock, going back to BioShock, it feels better than this game does.
Yeah.
The shooting mechanics and everything, I prefer BioShocks over this.
I think it's the dystopian future they're setting, isn't it? And then they've got the 50...
But then you can say that about every game like that, you know? It's...
I don't know. I'm trying
to figure out. Everybody compares Souls games to, you know, every hack and slash game now. It's Souls-like because it's got a dodge mechanic. And it's like, you know, every game gets compared now. It's just, it's weird.
Yeah, there's that Soulsborne-itis where everyone's like, oh, this is Soulsborne, this is Soulsborne. But then you are genuinely getting a lot of Soulsborne games. Hey, so you've not played Atomic Heart or tried it?
I've not played Atomic Heart. I can definitely see why people do make the BioShock comparison, though, because it has got that dystopian thing and the dead like faces in BioShock that are wearing masks and things, and you've even got one hand using similar kind of powers to what you'd expect to see from a BioShock game. So I can see the comparison. I can also see why you'd say that that's not how it played out for you. You didn't find it to be of the same caliber as BioShock, let alone the same theme and style. I will try it at some point. This is one of the joys of Game Pass. Like, obviously, with Atomic Heart getting such a mixed reception from reviewers, but mostly from people actually getting in and playing it, I would struggle to justify finding out for myself if I had to like spend 70 quid on it. But I don't have to. It's right there. I can download it. I can give it a go. The only thing that I lack is time to do that. So one day.
I feel your pain. I've been playing Wolong, as you know.
People in the chat's like, I don't agree with the over sexualization of the vending machine or whatever. If that's not sexual at all to you guys, or yeah, I don't know what to say about that.
What can you give us a bit of context for those who don't know what happens? Like, talks is really weird. There's audio's really
yeah, it's just really weird. Like, why does a vending machine have to be sexualized at all? Like,
many reasons. Have you been to Japan? They sell panties in this machine.
Oh, do we have to go there, Gaz? Do we have to go there?
Nah, I would buy it.
And I'm no prude, damn it. I'm no prude, but at the end of the day, it's just weird. It's like, why does this vending machine have to be weird? Like this?
Like, if it's like, buy a Snickers off me. You know, you want a Snickers? Crunchy.
Oh, that's
so
scary.
Crunchy.
That's creepy.
I would buy it. I would like, you know what? That's actually a good marketing ploy. Like, literally have the vendor be like, buy me. Oh, there it is, that latex robot with like a horn inserted into another robot. Why is it turning me on? I have no idea. It doesn't make sense.
What doesn't make sense is that you're sitting there trying to be a sexy vending machine and there are still people watching the show. Thank you, everyone, for your patience.
Hey, that's why they're watching it. Space Overkin with the $2 super. She goes, free robot Zex. What the hell is free robot? Oh, free robot sex. I don't think that was going to be bad. Dealer Gaming. And Everborn is in the background, by the way. Get ready to destroy the audio. Everborn, I swear to God, if we let you in and the audio is absolute audio molestation, I will. That's a bit raw. Everborn, here we go. Brace in 3.
All right.
Oh, it's fixed.
Is it fixed? Did it get super loud?
Yeah, it got super loud. But it's fixed. It's fixed.
No, okay, it's good. It's good.
Yeah, it's good. It got really loud.
Right, we did a restart.
Welcome.
We did all those things.
We did it. We did it, ladies and gentlemen. I think we did it. No, it sounds like a dentist drill in my ear. It's fine. Everborn. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I don't know what's going on with these audio issues.
Well, you're fine. You're fine.
Earlier.
It's working. It's working.
All right. I'm gonna shut up so that it works, even though I need to talk.
Oh man, no. We're good. We're talking about what games you've been playing.
How bad Atomic Heart was.
Yes. Well, we were talking about. Yeah. Basically,
well,
how
for me, anyways. For me, I said I didn't like it. The chat hates me for it, though.
Well, you know what? I arrived just in time because I'm gonna play backup here. I also did not like Atomic Heart. But again, I have not left the first building yet. So, although you're supposed to be in there for like a couple of hours, so I'm a few hours into it. I get that it's supposed to be like Duke Nukem or whatever it is, whatever they're trying to do. But if you play that game dubbed, it is grating. Like it is like
the audio.
I mean
the dialogue,
like the voice acting, like the
that's
dub.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like it's terrible. Right? I can't take. And it's I guess it's one of those things where you either love it or you hate it. I could not get into it. So
Dealer Gaming says it's not bad.
Yeah, you know what? The thing that's not bad is the grandma. She's great. Right. Like if there was I see what you did there. You remind me of a certain refrigerator. But the point is
the vending machine in the game?
Yeah, the vending machine.
Yeah. But what the thing is, the grandma's great. Her voice acting is great. It is just the main character that you have to listen to the whole time that I can't listen to anymore. But there's other issues that I have with the game, right? So I'm not a huge fan of the combat, and maybe you have to upgrade later on, but it's not making a good. You can only make a one first impression, right? So this idea that you have to dodge out of the way of the robots that lunge at you, but there's no kind of lock-on mechanic. So you dodge, and then they lunge at you, and now they're like behind you or on the side of you, and then you have to turn around to go and shoot them. It's just this thing and they're hitting you while you are turning around. And maybe I should be playing on PC with a mouse and keyboard, maybe whatever. But like I just like a requirement for games with me is that I have to have fun. Right. And I didn't feel like I was having fun in the opening. And it does look beautiful. The art is great and all that. But like, I just don't feel like it did anything like great. And I wonder if it maybe is trying too many things as opposed to honing in on a few things. Like, this is my rule with games. You have to do one or two things exceptionally well, and I'll give you a pass on the rest of it. And I don't know if there's anything in there that they're doing exceptionally well. It's fine. I'm playing.
Interesting you say that. Like, that's quite a big demand. Like, two things need to be done exceptionally well. What if a game?
At least one thing. One or two. Give me one or two things that you do exceptionally well. I don't care about production value. I don't even care about graphics too much. Right. Yeah. Just do like 2021. Literally my game of the year was Death's Door. Right. There's no crazy production value there. There's no story.
I loved it too.
But the way they nailed the combat there, it is what it is.
Death's Door was one of my favorite games of that year. Yeah, it was one of my favorite games too.
Do phenomenally well though.
For the genre, it was very good.
The word was exceptionally well. What did Death's Door do?
Exceptionally well was the combat. They nailed it.
I completed that game.
Nailed the combat.
Well, Asa, you know what, Asa? I thought you were being difficult, but you were right with that. I share your opinion.
It's just hyperbole around that game. It is a decent game and no more than that. What it does exceptionally well is the sound of the crow's footsteps. That's the best part of the game for me. Like, just listen to it going around all the different piles of leaves and stuff. That's really good.
Death's Door did two things well because the score in Death's Door is amazing. So you have the combat and the score.
That score's good.
That has met my bar. 2022, my game of the year was Elden Ring, which I think that was like most people's
game of the
year.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm not like biased towards indie games or anything, or I'm not biased towards big AAA games. But Atomic Heart has not it's fine.
Everything it does is sloppy, mechanic wise.
Talk about
everything is sloppy.
Talk about say the words.
And I think most people out there are very enamored by the graphics in the game because it is very beautiful. And I think people are just like, oh, I can't wait to see what's next. And the visuals are really like impressing people. But at the end of the day, the mechanics of the game, even the combat, it's sloppy.
Right. And this is the thing. This is coming from a person who was I'm not like an Atomic Heart hater. I really wanted to, and people say this all the time, like, you know, you are rooting for a game, you're hyped for the game, you want to play it, you're excited, you're giving it all the chances, but then it's kind of like Death of a Thousand Cuts. It just doesn't work for me. No, it can work for other people. It just doesn't work for me. And I was in there, like, I did not. I mean, I'm an admitted Harry Potter hater, but I ignored Hogwarts to play this game. So I was in the bag. So it's not like they won me over in the lead up to the game.
I was excited for it. Yeah,
exactly.
Me too. I was very excited to play it.
Well, that's quite funny, Fonz, because you were excited to play
Atomic Heart. Yeah, and I was not excited, and I was not excited to play Hogwarts. But I loved Hogwarts, and I don't like Atomic Heart. Completed Hogwarts, 55 hours. I'm not a Harry Potter fan or anything, so I was not excited. Great game. Great game.
Because Fonz has taste.
Fonz does have taste. A lot of
not according to the chat. Unfortunately, I'm just an old dinosaur who doesn't like over-sexualized vending machines, apparently. So,
hey, man. Okay,
things have changed since 1990, I'm told, and I'm like, yeah, really? Okay.
Yeah. If you're not using a vending machine and you hear then. Sponsored by Long Fallen Dynasty, by the way, because that's all you hear when the dialogue. You want to talk about bad dialogue in games? Do the English version or with the English dubs, which is in my review of Wolong. All you hear is
Okay.
Maybe we should
Is that gone
put
long enough?
the refrigerator into Wolong. They could get together, maybe have some video.
It'll be a
game.
natural addition to that game. God Emperor Sofa King with a $2 super chat, who I was given a message saying he was talking crap about me on another show. He's here. He says Atomic Heart is an indie title first game.
But these guys have made other games under different studios. So it's not their first game. It's technically as a studio it is. But
this weird when you get into game commentary, because like you will give your opinion on a game and people will tell you why your opinion on a game that you played is wrong, right? Like and I'm not saying that person's doing that, but I'm saying like it's okay to like some people like it and some people don't. It could be your cup of tea. It doesn't happen to be my cup of tea. Apparently, it's not Fonz's cup of tea either. You know.
Yeah.
They didn't put HDR in the game. Like, how do you have a game today with no HDR?
There are so many.
It's very flat, very flat.
My old man eyes can't even tell when that's on, so that's not a ding that I'll give.
Get a better TV and you'll notice it.
Oh no, I solely play on an LG CX55 in the bedroom and 65.
Well, then you should notice. Well, yeah, you should
get good eyes.
That's like that's the thing though. People like really rant and rave like HDR is essential to good graphics, but I didn't see a single person play that Matrix tech demo and say, "Whoa, this looks too ugly."
No, it's not about being too ugly. It's definitely not. I even said Atomic Heart is gorgeous, but to not have HDR is pretty weird these days.
How dare they?
It does look blown out though. Like the whites are really like.
Yeah, it's not as vibrant as it would be with HDR.
I would say the number of games that do HDR well are actually pretty slim. You get a lot of games that like technically tick the box in that your TV will flip to HDR mode, but games that actually do it well are pretty rare.
What about Dead Space? Do you think that does it well? Because it looked like it did really well.
Yes, it does.
See, even I noticed it. Even I
just completed Dead Space and Callisto. I was actually a very big fan of Callisto Protocol.
I was with you. I'm with you. Like ACG comes at me for my opinion.
I didn't like that game either. I didn't like Callisto.
I get it. I get why you wouldn't like it. I just liked it. You know what you did wrong? You didn't have any edibles before you played it. I'm just kidding. No, it's. No, I didn't say that. It's a family show. Alex reminds me in chat. No, look, it's. I see what they're going with it. The problem is they sunk so much money into Callisto Protocol that might be the end of the studio.
Yeah, I definitely don't think like playing it through, completing it. I don't think that's a game that you would realistically want to spend $160 million to make.
Yeah, I don't know where that's
right. Like it's wild, right? Like I don't think Plague Tale Requiem. I don't think they spent 100. Like that's the kind of money you should have spent, whatever it cost to make Plague's Tale. I think to make a game that Callisto, like it's an 8-hour game. I think it's a good. It's so part of why a lot of hate that I think Callisto gets is because it leans so heavily into being like a Dead Space game, but it's not, and it is. It's definitely action with horror elements versus being a survival horror game, and I think a lot of people that played it maybe wanted survival. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. I was expecting a survival horror
I would
game.
still say
I got something very
survival.
different, but I didn't hate what I got.
Yeah, I liked it. I kind of liked the vision. I loved the combat. It was very up
That's
close
what I didn't like about it. It's the combat. I didn't like that it relied heavily on melee.
I love the melee. I love melee in games.
And it was too close quarters for me. Like I understand you're in confined areas, but so is Dead Space, and I don't feel as confined. I don't feel like it's so close to fight these enemies, and I feel like I get more gun action in Dead Space than I do.
Definitely do. You definitely get more gun action in Dead Space.
And it seems like they wanted you to use the environment more in Callisto to kill these things, and I just thought it was cheap.
That I do agree with you that it became very samey at the end of it. You could
there's things over here that's on the wall with spikes.
Conveniently.
I can't throw that. Yeah.
It's like in the future that health and safety don't exist in the future. There's like, here is a spinning turbine with metal spikes in it. That's a good design decision. Just go in and build
if we're going to let Star Wars get away with those catwalks, I think we can let Callisto get away with it.
No, I'm not letting away with Star Wars. Star Wars, screw it. Well, then we had Wolong. I don't think any of you gents have tried it or played it.
I played
it last night.
Oh, okay.
I played the demo.
What do you think? What do you think, Fonz? Did you like
I played the demo. I thought it was good. I thought it was decent, but it's much like Sekiro or, other type of Souls games like that in a way. I've not dived into it yet. I might do it, but I've got some games to play that are in my backlog right now. After Shadow Warrior 3, I still have Dead Space Remake to finish. And I love the original game, so I'm definitely going to play that. And then I got to finish up Hi-Fi Rush as well.
Hi-Fi Rush is currently my running game of the year right now.
Really?
Oh, okay. That's fair
Even
enough.
though it's not HDR.
No
Even though
HDR.
it's not HDR, yes.
Yeah. I'm the one who likes HDR in my games, by the way. And I just like them because when it's done right, it does look a lot better. When it's done bad, it looks worse than SDR.
Yeah.
And Callisto is a prime example of that. Callisto looks horrible with that HDR. You have to do so much tweaking in that game to get the black levels just right because it's so washed out. It's terrible.
Yeah. By the way, Abdul in chat goes, can you help me out? Can't get past is it the first boss in Wolong? Should I get new weapons or level up sub-battle? Always level up your done sub-battlefields. Well, maybe I can help you in co-op. Message me and I'll help you out. I've almost 100% completed this game. This game changed me into not that I wasn't a Soulsborne believer, but I completed Bloodborne. I stopped playing Elden Ring because I thought
dare you.
I've restarted it today. All party chat. I was just absolutely swearing with Rand. I was like, shut up. I was just like, I was fighting God. What's his name?
Godric.
Godric. The Godric is a piece of crap. His second phase when you get the dragon in his arm.
Did you beat it last year? Elden Ring?
I haven't beaten Elden Ring. I literally stopped. So now I'm playing that.
Wow.
And what I loved about Wolong, for me, it just clicked immediately, was the combat, the parry system. And Rand is telling me, and a lot of people are telling me in the reviews, in the review video comments, that play Sekiro. And I'm so excited to play Sekiro, but I need to play Elden Ring first. I just feel like and it's a beautiful game. When you go back from Wolong, which is graphically pretty basic, like last gen, you go to Elden Ring, it's like, yo, this game is beautiful, but it's so slow compared to Wolong. So I'm kind of saving that dessert of Sekiro, which is, some people have said that it's the best combat they've ever had in a game, and other people have said it to me as well, and I'm hyped about it.
With Wolong, and again, I'm not speaking with like a crazy amount of experience because I've only played it for like an hour or whatever, and I've died like a million times on that dog animal boss that you first is not a boss. I thought it was a boss, but he keeps one-shotting me, right? When you first start the game, and then there's that. So apparently I'm told you can walk right past them, and so I was like very down on the game because I'm like, it's very unforgiving, and at least, and I said it, like, if you're gonna have a bad attitude, you better have good looks. And this game is unforgiving and a little bit and not.
I don't think it's that hard. I think Elden Ring is harder. I have gone Godric. I've struggled.
Right? Here's the difference. In Elden Ring, you can go on and level yourself up and come back. Because again, I got one-shotted by the tree sentinel, and then I went someplace else, did other things, and came back to him when I was ready. And the other difference with Elden Ring, Elden Ring allows you, and I see you in the chat, Slow-Mo, with the super chat. You suck. No, but Elden Ring allows you to play the way you want, right? If you want to play as a mage, if you want to get the big great sword like I did, right? You want to build a tank, you can do that. Wolong is trying to force you to play a very specific way, and you got to be into it or you're not. And
the parrying,
for me, And
the parry, you have
parrying
to
is
parry
weird,
in this game.
but it's like
It's
you have to
beautiful.
double tap
It's
with a
clicked.
directional thing. It's like it's not normal. Like you just
It
press
feels
the parry
nice,
button at the right time.
snappy. It just got me in the nucleus. This game, it was beautiful. It's really good. Asa, have you tried?
I played it for like an hour before this show just to try and get into it, and about 50 minutes of that hour was spent on the character creator, which is ridiculous. The character creator is like you set your hair and then you set the top and the sides and the back and the bangs all separately, and it's like, what is going on? This character creator, it's not even a real multiplayer game. If it was a game that's like first and foremost multiplayer, then making a character with this much depth would make all the sense in the world because everyone's going to see it. But I was just going to play this on my own. I'm the only one that's going to see this thing. And yet I can't leave. I'm sitting there making the character. I got through
I just want to know what highlight colors you picked, Asa.
I always, when I'm making characters in these like more basic games, for some reason I always make crusty old men. So I made a crusty old man to hobble through the game. I got through, I'm still doing the tutorial. I only got to that first boss guy and then I got interrupted and stopped. So I've not got past the first boss yet, which I'm told is like a bit of a skill check to see if you're going to be all right with the game, and I reckon I'll be all right with it. I haven't got the mechanics down pat, and I don't really like the fact that the parry button and the dodge button are on the same button. I think if I separated those out, which you might be able to do, I've not dug through the options menu, then I'll probably enjoy the feel of it a bit more. I don't know though, there's just something about it, like it's not caught me yet. It's not got my attention and said, you're going to enjoy this game, you should play it for another 20 hours or whatever it's going to take for me to do that. So we'll see how it goes. It feels a lot like an older Team Ninja game, a Ninja Gaiden game. Like I am only in the tutorial area, so I don't want to overly speak with any authority on this because it is very linear. I'm just going through like a burning village or whatever it is that you do. But it just, this section in particular just feels like a very old game.
Well, once you venture forward, you'll get the game that does throw AI companions at you, and then which I thought was okay. It was an welcome addition to it because it will force you to take this high risk, high reward kind of thing. Every enemy's got a morale rank. If they're higher, you'll build up, level up faster. And I was like, for me personally, I was like, I could take the slow and steady route, or I can just take the high risk, high reward. And I felt that more satisfying. And I just all the way through, I powered through. I've completed every sub-battlefield in this game, and that very rarely happens. It's like normally when I've completed a single-player game, that's it, done. But I've done everything. The only thing I need to do is get 3 achievements, which I hate achievements like that. I don't really care about achievements because I'm so close to 100%ing it. It's like collect these. I've done the koala things, like you have to drop some stuff with them, find some tablets, find some. It's just like the find things. I'm just like, like give me that achievement. I've done it. I've done everything in this game. But the combat is what got me. And in chat, Danny Passion Official, thank you with a $2 super chat. He goes, Gaz, play Sekiro and you will see how bad Wolong is. I really enjoy the game, but the game does have serious problems. I also think this is, this whole power thing with Xbox and PlayStation. I think this game is going to be another one that potentially runs worse on Xbox because I got stutters, pretty serious ones in some bits, mostly just in cutscenes, and a few, and I said in this review that's playing, a handful of times when I was doing boss battles. One time with Lu Bu, which is really disgusting. You don't want that to happen. But I have a feeling this one's going to be running bad because, the PC version apparently has issues as well. Digital Foundry have also kind of alluded to another game that's going to run some.
I've seen other people that do analysis on YouTube that are saying the same thing, that it's running worse on the Xbox.
Well, Xbox fans, brace yourself. There's another one, like DJ Khaled says, another one. Asa with this. Oh, I haven't seen you actually done that. I have. That's a lie. Slow-mo backsnap with a $5 super chat. Thank you. He goes, yes, Sonic sucks. So Sony will buy Sega. Dune will win movie of the year. Yes.
Jesus
yes, Slow-mo. I love you for that.
That is the darkest timeline.
What? Dune? Dune is amazing. It deserves movie.
I'm a big fan of the Dune book. I was not a fan of the movie.
Speaking about frame drops,
I love the movie.
Even in Shadow Warrior 3, I'm getting a lot of frame dips here and there. Like some serious frame dips. And I'm like, why? Because Doom runs incredibly well and looks better. And this game is just like, Wow.
Wolf,
I mean, it
Wolf of
chugs at
Darkness is-
times.
yeah, I mean, I don't know whether that's an old game, Fons. Do we know
Yeah.
how it performed?
I don't know.
Comparative, doesn't really.
Yeah, I don't know.
But
I don't know. I'm just
it's a
bringing it up
smaller-
because we're talking about the frame dips, and I'm like, why? It's the Series X, the most powerful console in the world.
Yeah, I think that a lot of
don't
people
get
have been disappointed. In fact, generally on
get
the
it.
consoles as well. Wolf of Darkness, you say there's spoilers, but really, when you play the game, it doesn't really matter, man. There's so many bosses, so many things. Trust me, as someone who's like literally done it, it's not taking anything away from the game. It's a very just enjoy the game. It's like story's crap. That doesn't make any sense. So you will probably ignore it. And I didn't even skip any cutscenes because I was just thought I'm reviewing.
Even the graphics of Wo Long kind of look dated. They kind of look like
dated
a
as hell.
PS3 game or something. Like it just, I don't know. Doesn't
Yeah,
look
they
that
like
great.
Neo. It looked like Neo, which I haven't played. I played the first demo, but it looks really basic fonts. K Santi, shout out to you. He goes, salute to the Source Master, the Curmudgeon, and the VR and Sonic Stan. What's a curmudgeon? Is that an American word? Curmudgeon.
Curmudgeon. No.
I don't know what that means.
Curmudgeon
How
is
much
just
reason
like
for
it's an old man who's angry all the time.
That's me.
Like
Fonz.
it's like the get off my lawn kind of guy.
Apparently, that's what people describe me as being. So I'm a curmudgeon.
You just speak the fact, the truth. They don't like
Get
it,
off
so
my
they
lawn.
just get off my lawn.
All of you, get off my lawn.
We won't. Purple Tree Fog, but thank you for being a member for 10 months. Got the night off, pizza on the way, and get to chill and boss
Wow.
in the Source. Good times and great job on the Wo Long review. Thank you, Purple Tree Fog. Parksy, great panel tonight, but I'm only here for one thing. Starfield me, please, Fonz.
No, that's okay. Who is that?
You can't force it, Parksy. You can't.
Oh, okay.
You're-
All right. Hold on. Starfield. There you go.
Go.
Just
All right,
ruined.
okay, so speaking of Starfield, Fawn, since we have you here, should they drop Starfield in June, even though Final Fantasy 16 and Tears of the Kingdom are coming out?
I don't think it has to really go up against Final Fantasy much. I mean, to me, I think the game that's gonna. I think Starfield will get played more than Final Fantasy 16 for sure. I think there's more people out there that
Let 'em hear
that want to play Starfield over Final Fantasy 16. 100%. And I think and I say this with my chest because I know a lot of Final Fantasy fans who are not happy with the direction of Final Fantasy 16.
We are going to go into that. Yeah, thank you, gents, for that perfect segue. But before we do the segue,
I didn't even know that was on the topic list.
it's literal thumbnail, Everborn. Clearly, you don't pay attention. It's literally the main thumbnail.
Haha, there you go. All right. I didn't even notice that.
But before we do that, so we got I didn't even get a review copy. I managed to get a copy of the Wo Long early. Don't ask me how. And
Yeah, I know how.
Who's okay? No, I was gonna.
I know how.
But yeah, you do. But it doesn't matter because
It doesn't matter.
I did a review. I did a review of the game, and then some people are like, because even though I'm critical of every paid critical Forza, Halo, and now this, in order to remove any doubts that the review was done with integrity, we give away, and this is a policy going forward, anytime we only do like 3 reviews we've done so far, hope to do more if we get more press copies, but anytime we do a review, we will give away a copy of the game. And now I did it in my butt. And so I announced it in my review and then also on Twitter. The best comment on GameOnDaily and under the video review would win. And there are only 5 comments, of which one of them was great review, mate. So obviously, thank you, Geordie, for that comment. So there's 4 comments, and I'm just quickly read out. So you had GamerBum who said, good review. In my opinion, he says, Sekiro is the best hack and slash game ever made. It beats everything. He says its combat is better than Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Neo's, God of War. The only thing I'm not sure about is beating it gameplay-wise is Elden Ring, because I haven't used Elden Ring's parry system.
But to his point, though, Elden Ring did take some things from Sekiro as well. It took some things from all of the Souls games, really, and put them together in Elden Ring. That's what makes Elden Ring so special, in my opinion.
Okay, fair enough. Parry system he's talking about, which confuses me. Like, in Elden Ring, is there?
There's parry. You can parry in Elden Ring, but there's no
it's hit
real...
the block. Yeah.
It's not...
Yeah, at the right time. Yeah, I remember now.
It's not like Wolong. Yeah.
So that's Gamer Bum. He is Gamer, great name. His comment on the website. Then you had Purple Tree Frog. He says, great review. Having been a fan of Team Ninja since Ninja Gaiden, and the Dead or Alive games, Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball was genuinely fun. Oh, yeah, sure, Purple Tree Frog. It actually is a really good game, but what were you playing? Were you playing it or were you watching it? As I haven't had a PlayStation since the PS3, I missed out on the Neo games. But Team Ninja have improved over the years. Fair enough. Abdul114. In my opinion, Sekiro Shadow Dies Twice is the game with the most satisfying combat ever. Also echoing the same sentiments as before. The bosses, well-building, level design. I'd like to call Wolong a Souls-like game. Third World Gamer goes, first, I was really looking forward to this game, and it seems like it won't disappoint. Too bad I can't sub for Game Pass. Finances are not where I want them to be. You're tugging at my heartstrings there, but great job to Team Ninja. Source, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, this one time, because of that comment, I think that gentleman, I hope you're telling the truth. I'm sure you are. You will win.
Has a heart.
I do. You win a copy of I was gonna say Atomic Heart. What's this stupid game I'm playing? Wolong. No, it's not stupid. Maybe. Wolong, you win it. So shout out to Third World Gamer. You've won a copy of this game. So hope you enjoy it. I'll contact you on DMs on GameOnDaily. Yeah. If you're in the chat, let me know as well. Shout out to you. So
oh my God, Face too.
Face always adds sauce. He always adds sauce.
But it's always some dumb shit. Like, okay, read it.
He says, let me read it in super chat. Face 23 Brooklyn, New York says, I bet Zelda and Spider-Man 2, which both will only be on one platform, will sell and have more players than Starfield.
Okay, so first of all, who was talking about Spider-Man or Zelda? I was asked a question between Final Fantasy 16 and Starfield. Okay, second of all, you're probably right. You know why? Starfield is on Game Pass on 2 different platforms.
Don't sleep on those PC sales.
So I'm not saying it's not going to sell well, but you're just barking up the wrong tree when you're going to come at me with this game's going to sell better than a game that's going to be on Game Pass on 2 different platforms. Like, duh. Of course we know Zelda especially. Zelda's going to sell like hotcakes, man. That thing is going to be the best-selling game probably ever. It's Nintendo, man. It's that effect that they have.
In fairness to Face, he tagged at Fonz, but he maybe wasn't offering that as a counter. He was just saying, I bet Zelda and Spider-Man 2 will sell.
But at the end, look, what I told you at the beginning before you read this, I prefaced it by saying it's dumb. Guess what? It was dumb because it made no sense. At the end of the day, it's like a duh.
What is that?
I think there was a fire.
Right.
Uh-oh.
Mute that.
Turned his camera off, but didn't mute it.
Fire.
Yeah, he
Fire.
turned his camera off. Didn't mute the mic. Asante, check your boy. What is he doing? Hopefully his house is okay.
Yeah, it's definitely just people coping with the fact that they don't get to play Starfield on their favorite platform. Let's just say that.
We saw a lot of that, and we will go into that as we're talking about the ABK deal. Some of the journalists as well, the weird takes, like routinely, like expose some weird biases. Although we'll discuss that. Danny Passion with a $5 super check. He says, I'm one he's 1K'd Sekiro. He's fully completed it, and it's in my top 3 of all time. Whereas God Emperor Sofa King says Sekiro is a rhythm-based game. Neo 2 is better. Ooh, what do you say to that, Danny? But yeah, okay, all right. Well, Face, thank you for that super chat. But the next topic you'll like. I know you're a PlayStation guy, Face. Final Fantasy 16, the game that Final Fantasy fans, especially Acer, was not so hot about before. Now, neither was I, although I've never.
I'm looking forward to playing it myself. I want to say that out there, by the way. I'm going to play it.
Well, after what I said this in another video, but like after I see more and more of it, it looks really impressive. Now, IGN did a more thorough, like exclusive hands-on, and the gameplay, the scale, it looks really good. I'm not sure if I like the setting that much, but it's got huge set pieces. Its combat system, very good. What does he describe it as? The grittiest combat. I don't know what the name of the IGN chap is. Apologies to him, but he says grittiest combat in its 36-year history, and he keeps talking about anime style battles, and I can see
Still
where
alive.
he's coming from with that. Oh, he's still alive. Okay, that's good.
No,
But-
somebody was cooking in the kitchen. You know, these things.
It's all good. It's all good. I thought it was Jim Ryan trying to burn your house down. No, like Final Fantasy 16, Acer, like, are you? Because last time I spoke to you, you weren't so hot on it. Have you seen the IGN preview? Are you?
We
why is my
don't
voice
speak
so
enough, do
high?
we, Gaz? My opinion of Final Fantasy 16 actually kind of changed at the Game Awards show towards the end of last year when they showed their trailer. So I have quite a history with Final Fantasy games in general. Final Fantasy 7 was the game that convinced me to get a PlayStation 1 in the first place. And I got a lot of joy out of that game. Loved that.
Same, brother, same.
Yeah, and this was in the time where you didn't really have like YouTube and influencers and all the rest of it. It was like schoolyard talk, where this game was fire that went round, and everyone was talking about how they wanted to build their characters and what materia combinations they'd figured out and all this kind of stuff. And I had to have it because it just sounded so interesting. And I loved that game. Played it through. Can't remember certain whole discs of it, but I loved it at the time. Final Fantasy 8 was disappointing. Final Fantasy 9 was really good. 10 was really good.
8?
8, yeah.
It
8
was disappointing.
8
yeah.
might actually be good if I went
Squall's
back to
good.
it, but it felt like 2 discs were tacked on for the sake of having extra discs rather than being necessary.
Oh, yeah.
So the story kind of didn't do it for me, and it was a bit disappointing after 7. I really
Dream
liked
stuff.
9, I really liked 10. 12 made a quite dramatic change to the way the game played, and I just fell off of that within about 5 minutes. I forget the online ones, but Square Enix, after that point, 12 was the start of it. 12 was when they started trying to like pivot the series over to have more broad appeal, and they started experimenting and changing things and chasing a global audience in a way that they hadn't before. 13 kind of sucked. A lot of people were very critical of it. It kind of sucked, but 15 was the one that really killed me. 15 I thought was absolutely terrible. The most recent one goes, it shoots so hard to be a Ubisoft game, and it's not. It's a Final Fantasy. Why are you making it a Ubisoft
Well,
game?
when I saw it, honestly, the first thing that came to my mind was hipsters with swords.
Boy
That
band
too,
with
like
sword.
aesthetically,
Yeah,
it
it
was
didn't
not
look
pleasing either when they drive their car around, and everything about that game just hit me the wrong way. Apart from the music, Final Fantasy games consistently have really good scores. 16, I saw what they were doing with the combat, and I thought, oh no, like why are their health bars like a beat 'em up and someone's fighting each other? And I was really perturbed by it. I thought, I'm still going to play this. It's still going to have that brilliant music that I love. It's possibly going to have a good story. It might have a terrible open world map and a Ubisoft theme going on, but yeah, I'll probably end up playing with it. I'm not that enthusiastic. And then come the Game Awards, they showed they called it their revenge trailer. And that landed for me. The gameplay still looked wrong. It still didn't, like, it's not something that I consider particularly to be a Final Fantasy game, no matter how many times you shout Ifrit or whatever.
Is it because of the turn-based stuff or lack thereof?
I mean, it's a difficult one because Final Fantasy VII Remake, I think, was absolutely brilliant, and I consider that a complete fluke. I don't think that Square Enix are capable of making a good Final Fantasy game anymore, but somehow Final Fantasy VII Remake really came together, and I absolutely adored it.
Yeah.
So 16 is like, whoa, this trailer has made it look good now. It's definitely not a traditional Final Fantasy game, but... And then IGN come out, and you got Mike Minotti saying like, oh, it plays just like God of War, and I'm listening to this going, what What? Why? Why does it play like God of War?
Yeah, exactly.
I liked God of War to an extent. I liked the combat, so maybe I'll have a good time with it. But I don't know. It sits in a weird place. Square Enix's CEO is stepping down in June, so maybe there's hope for the company yet. But they've just been a long running kind of disaster for a little while. I don't know.
Hope to get acquired.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to it myself. And I had a lot of the same issues with it that you did. It didn't look that appealing to me either at first, but it started to look better and better to me as I saw more gameplay and stuff. And of course, Final Fantasy Remake had kind of changed my mind when it came to the style of combat they were going after. This one is pushing it even further. Of course, you heard Mike Minotti say it plays like God of War, which is crazy to me, but all right, it's a Final Fantasy game. We'll see.
Like it.
Yeah, I don't see the correlation there, but we'll find out, right? But it looks good. It at least it doesn't look like 15. Okay, 15 just aesthetically just did not look good at all. And it just, there were some really weird moments there with the guys getting in the car and just I don't know. It just did not seem right for me. So I didn't play that game, but this one looks pretty good. And I'm looking forward to playing this. So this will be the next PlayStation 5 game I play this year. So excited.
I think it could be really good. I think it might have a high meta score. Shout out to 522 people. If you're watching this, smash that like button. RG5X, thank you for reminding me. What about the JRPG racist comments? I think this was someone from Square Enix said he considered the JRPG.
Wasn't it Yoshi P? Yoshi?
Was it Yoshi P?
Yeah, he said that he felt that the term was a bit racist. And if he feels that way, I don't have any problem with somebody feeling that way, a developer or whatever. What I take issue with is some of the comments that I've seen on Twitter from people saying, yeah, this was always a negative term for Japanese RPGs. And I'm like, since when? Ever since I've been, playing JRPGs, RPGs, I should say. I don't know what to say here, but for years, I mean, going back to the, late 80s, early 90s, like I've always, when I heard the term JRPG, it was just always because that was what you described that type of role-playing game, because it was very different from what we would consider the Dungeons and Dragons type role-playing game we had in the Western state, countries. So when I look to that and I hear JRPG, it was never negative. Ever. I never heard anybody say that.
Here's the thing.
It was the opposite.
But then you've got people on Twitter that are literally saying, oh, I remember people being really racist about JRPG.
Okay.
When?
So here's the thing.
It blows my mind.
Here's what we don't get to do, right? You don't get to get away with not putting any black people in your game and then redefining JRPG as racist. That's what we're not going to do today, right? Like we should shut that conversation down right now. It's ridiculous. Sorry, I had to come back on camera. This whole JRPGs are racist now.
You had to come back on camera so everyone knew you were black, so you could make that comment with impunity.
This is wild.
I saw a lot of people say that. I was like, hey, hold on. When are you gonna get? Well, actually, they put the token character there. They really don't do. And this is the problem I have with them. I had an issue with Forspoken doing it. And people are like, but she's a protagonist. I'm like, I'm not a black person. Shocked, surprised. This will surprise everyone. But I got annoyed by it. I'm not, but I got annoyed me. I'm like, well, not annoyed me. I'm just like, is that really meaningful? Pretty, I don't know. It's just I just thought, oh, she likes shoes. Oh, she's got a criminal record. It's like, tick, tick, tick. It's Japanese companies. So looking into the Western broader appeal, and then they're taking this box. So then when this comment comes out, I'm like, I don't think that's right. And JRPGs were held in reverence. I remember when Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9, we were like, JRPG was a banner of pride.
It was just a term to describe that style of RPG. That's all it ever was. That's how you could discern between a Western RPG and a JRPG, by saying, oh, that's a JRPG style, that's a Western style. And we knew what that meant. And maybe it's because the Final Fantasy 16 doesn't really meet the the exact criteria of what we assume JRPG to be, because usually that's turn-based, or there's certain aspects of the game that are different from Western, but this is becoming more Western-like in this approach to Final Fantasy 16. So I'm wondering if they're just trying to escape it altogether, because
they're gaslighting us. That's not what it's not. Maybe that's exactly what's happening. This is like saying the term manga is racist because it refers to a Japanese comic book, right? It's a Japanese RPG. There's nothing. There's nothing inherent. There's no malice behind those words. No one ever thought malice behind those words. It is a Japanese RPG. Nope. If I say something's an anime, right, because it's a Japanese cartoon, does that make me racist?
I don't get it. I've never heard it before.
Or if you like K-pop, right?
Right.
Hey, K-pop's wicked.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's what is this stand for? Korean now. Pop. So is that a bad thing to put in front of?
Don't sleep on Korean pop people, by the way.
I was just having a look at this because I figured, like, my assumption was that this had just been like taken a little bit out of context and he didn't possibly mean it like that. I had assumed that what he meant was that he just didn't want their game to be kind of ring fenced into a particular genre that doesn't necessarily fit. They can expand and make. Like, to them, exactly. it's a game. It doesn't matter that it's got like any Japanese origin or styling or whatever. But reading what he actually said, it seems that that he's a little bit caught up. He says that he recognizes that a lot of people talk about JRPGs as a positive connotation today, but when the term was introduced to them 15 years ago, that wasn't really the impression that a lot of developers in Japan got. It was used kind of derogatory as far as they were concerned, and essentially this is probably true. Like, there still are. You get a group of people that are like, I don't care for this genre. Japanese RPGs, I don't care. Keep your turn-based games. But that's.
Oh, I see.
Like,
maybe.
Still like, I don't.
Yeah, but I wouldn't put the racist spin on it.
Neither would I.
I could see a negative connotation being put on something, but not racist. Like, I don't think it was.
I wouldn't either. I'm just very reluctant to like put down somebody's like lived experience everywhere, because if they think that it is, then I'm not. I don't want to dismiss what they're saying out of hand, but
exactly.
That's true. Ace is being sensible here. We were about here, just like pitchforks. Well, not pitchforks. We were trying to understand.
I said that at the beginning. I said, if he feels that way, if he feels that way, we can't take that away from him, right? If he honestly feels that had a negative connotation or a racist connotation, with that term, I can't take that away from him. But at the same time, I just never saw that growing up.
I didn't see that.
Yeah. I've always spoken about JRPGs with like reverence, because it's my favorite little genre for a long time.
At one time, it was my favorite too.
When my lived experience is that this is BS. That's my lived. Let's.
What, are you Japanese now? What are you trying to say?
I'm saying that this is not a thing. That's what
I know. Is it? I don't know, but you know what? That's how it's interesting, because it doesn't come across insincere, like you said, Asa. That's their lived experience there in Japan. That's his perspective, and maybe they're viewing like the sentiments abroad, or maybe apathy for that genre in the Western market, and they just have this impression, like maybe they look at it as inferior, and then they're touting Bethesda's games, and we don't understand that. The Western RPGs, and it's just.
Did he use the word racist though, or was it derogatory?
I think it was something else. It's
difficult to answer because he answered in Japanese, and it was via a translator.
Okay. So. Because I think a lot of people, this may have gotten lost in translation. A lot of people out there are running with it being racist on Twitter and everything, which he might not have even said that. Somebody in the chat pointed out that he said that it was derogatory at one time. And this is during the PS3 era, where people were just like negative on JRPGs. And I could see some people just being negative on it. But again, the racist thing, I think that could have been added by the masses of idiots out there that were just, trying to embrace this as being something that they could jump on and cancel people for. I don't know. It's a weird culture we've got now that love to do that sort of thing. So we see a lot of people on Twitter saying things like, I remember when people were being racist about, like, I don't remember this. Like, I was around the forums and everything, early start of the internet. I was in gaming forums and stuff, and I never heard that spun as a racist term.
Haha.
Yeah, ASL. Yep.
There are a lot of
ICQ.
people that would say they would prefer the JRPG to the
of course,
as the type game. So it's like, I don't know.
Western RPGs were kind of looked down as inferior, as like earlier. They were, in my opinion. That's my lived experience of like perception, because I was like JRPG, and they've got that, and Xbox has Western RPG. And then remember when Jade Empire came out, and I was like, oh, this is trying to be a JRPG, but it's a Western RPG, and it's the Chinese based. It's like, it didn't feel like it's not the full flavor. But it's like there was a different, like everyone has their own perceptions. We shouldn't write them off. But it's just like, I hope he can see, or maybe perhaps his opinion has changed if the translation is correct, and the reaction has kind of showed him like, hey, hold on, it's not that bad. God Emperor Sofa King says Final Fantasy 16 will be mid, just like Final Fantasy 15. So decisively he speaks. Destroying dreams of Acer. Face23 Brooklyn, New York, thank you again. He goes, Final Fantasy 16's combat looks like Devil May Cry combat. That's exactly what I was thinking.
More like Devil May Cry than it does God of War, for sure.
Yeah, very different kind of combat. Well, you still kind of combo it up, but yeah, it does. And then when you call the Ifrit and
but doesn't Mike
Guardians,
Minotti usually just play a bunch of Nintendo games anyway?
He's a Nintendo guy. I like Mike, man. He's a cool
I like him
guy.
too, but I'm just saying, like, that's usually what he plays. Maybe he's not too familiar. Or maybe he's talking about the old God of War. I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah,
God Emperor Sofa King also thinks Forspoken was racist as F. Okay, well, that's your view, but that's fine. Peter Morland, thanks for being a member for 13 months. Shout out to Peter. He goes, off topic. If Starfield isn't brilliant, I will give up gaming. Really, you're going to put all your eggs in the Starfield basket?
What?
He goes, better be effing good. I don't want to give up. It looks like the most exciting game in years for him. Fair enough.
It does look very excited. I'm very excited for this game, but if this game turns out to be just a turd, I'm not going to give up gaming. I'm sorry. I'm going to move on with my gaming life and just find the next game to play.
But it's interesting to note, Peter, this matters that much to you.
But I will say this much about Starfield. If it drops without a performance mode, yes, I'm talking 60 frames mode, that's a fat L for Microsoft. I'm sorry, but it's a big L. And that's only because...
modes. I hate performance modes. Just take the 30 frames mode out of the damn thing. The default mode.
Okay.
Make that 160. Thank you very much.
I'm with you, but here's the messed up part about this. If you look at pretty much every Sony game out there, they have performance modes. And so
mode,
for Microsoft to have their biggest first-party game come out in years and it not have a performance mode, that's an issue.
Do you know how much flack Doc got for being frustrated about the fact that the Xbox and Starfield? He goes, don't even tell me this game hasn't got a 60. Every PlayStation exclusive has that. I understand that. I just care about Starfield so much. I will withstand 30 FPS mode. But Asa, you played Spider-Man Miles Morales in 30. You said you liked it in 30.
I did,
You can get used to a 30 frames game, right? You can if you're forced to, but the fact remains that we don't need to in this day and age. We can get 60 frames modes. We can get it. We've seen it with a lot of other games. Why not give that to us?
So personally, I would very much rather not play a shooter in 60 frames per second. I did play Spider-Man in 30, I must say. This was before they had the ray tracing performance mode as well. So it's a choice between their performance and fidelity altogether. But what I really hate is the fact that you have to go into a menu and choose what you don't want. This is why I don't like the option to be there. Like, I want the developers to go into a game, give me the very best version, and put it in front of me, because it's a console and that's the console experience. So I don't want the developers to say, do you want to give up 60 frames per second, or do you want to make the graphics a bit more shit? Like, which ones do you want to lose? And I just take it as a compromise choice rather than you can have this or you can have this. It's you can lose this or you can lose this. Tough shit. And I
disagree with that. Okay, look at Hellblade 2, right? I know for a fact, I don't know for a fact, but I know that they want this game to be filmic 24 frames, because they're investing their vidocs out at Ninja Theories 1, and they're building all these amazing work to make it cinematic. And you can't have cinematic experiences at 60. They want it 24/30. Now, just because that's their vision, they'd be like, yeah, but people don't care about that. They really will judge it on the 60. Though some people will elect to pick the 60. And I think the choice, you frame it negatively. You say,
you know what?
It's giving, like, I say it's giving you choice. It's not, instead of forcing you what you don't want, it's giving you what you do want. It just can't please everyone, but they're trying.
When I'm playing a game that has a performance mode and I switch back and forth and do a comparison, and I see the resolution bump and everything, but when you start moving around, it looks way better in that 60 frames to me than any of that resolution that you've given me in that 30 frames mode, because it all just kind of blurs or gives you this effect where it's just stuttering when you're moving around.
I would play Hellblade 2 in 20. If Ninja said 24 frames and they've got a 60 FPS mode, I will play that in 24 frames. Because
it won't be
that's
24
how they intend
frames
it.
though.
I know they're
like,
you would play it in 24 frames. Do you want to get sick or?
Well, no.
Well, it depends on how the game's delivered. Like the Order 1886, isn't that 24 frames? Filmic FPS.
No, if we look
frames.
at Hi-Fi Rush, that game runs at a lock 60, but all of the cutscenes and the way it's animated, because they wanted it to feel like a cartoon,
anime.
And things are animated at 24 frames a second.
Yeah.
Even though it's running at 60, it's still the frames of the changing of the drawings or whatever, those happen at 24 frames a second.
Yeah.
So they actually switch it like during the cutscene.
Yeah, they do.
24. Just so that it can feel like you're watching like an animated cartoon, but while you're playing it, it goes back to 60. And I think that's maybe an option for Hellblade, right? If you wanted to feel filmic when you're in a cutscene, you do it at the 20. And again,
it's quite jarring though.
Well, it is. They make it work in Hi-Fi Rush, but that is still more of a cartoon game. So maybe when you're going for photorealism, it would be more jarring than it is.
Other games have done that as well. They've went to 30 in CGI and cutscenes, and it's fine. It doesn't really take you out of the experience at all, because you're not moving the character around. You're not seeing that judder as much as you would be when you're playing. You know, it's worse for some reason when you spin the camera yourself and you see that just stutter.
But this is the thing. I was watching that interview with the Hi-Fi Rush game director, and he was saying that when they switch back, because it goes like directly from the cutscene to you're in it, so it's not like a new camera angle. They just kind of turn the camera and now it's behind you, like God of War style, right? So when they do the camera movement, that's when the switch to 60 frames a second happens, I think.
Yeah.
Right. Well, so it's like you get that camera movement and it's sort of seamless. So you actually don't have that jarring effect, because that when they spin the camera around and now it's behind you and you're ready to fight, and they do it, then there's something with your eyes where it's less jarring than if they.
Well, my whole point with even bringing that up is the fact that I'm looking forward to playing Starfield. Even if I'm forced to play it at 30, of course I'm going to put time into this game and play the game if it's good. But I definitely think that 60 frames mode is needed these days. I think that should be standard. And Xbox themselves said that 60 was going to be standard this generation. They said this.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
But we don't know if it's not going to be 60, though. I think we should save this energy for...
Oh, no. That's why I put it out there. It better have a 60 frames mode, or else it's a fat L for Microsoft.
It is definitely an L. We've always said it. And especially for the world's most powerful console, it's going to be an fat L. Let's hope those Microsoft have got their engineers there. They've been there for a while. Maybe that's what they're doing. There may be a fair chance they're doing that. Pixel Bitchy back on the JRPG comment. Sorry, we got sidetracked. He goes, the JRPG will never be Western because of the writing. I guess the writing is pretty. It's true. I guess.
Like very slight tangent, and I don't have anywhere that I'm going to take this, but the developer of Recore, they said when they were making that game that they felt in that particular time, and this was a fair few years ago, that Japanese developers came up with the best ideas and created the best worlds, but that Western developers were better at actually making games at that point in time with their Unreal Engine and things that were not so well adopted in Japan. And that's why Recore had a Japanese lead and a Western development studio. I think things have moved on a fair amount since that point in time.
How'd that work out? Exactly. How'd it work out?
I like Recore, but it was,
Well, there's something to it though.
Never played it, never enjoyed it.
when I think about Japanese RPGs being different to Western ones, it is about the world building and the stories that they tell, because you can see a difference and sense a difference. They do have a different culture and different ideas, and that's why I love those games.
It's true.
Same. It's true. It's true. I agree with you.
That's when they're setting scores.
You know, seriously, like, you know, even with, we talked about it earlier, Elden Ring, the world in Elden Ring is awesome. Awesome.
Isn't that written by Game of Thrones guy?
George R.R. whatever he's called. His whole contribution to that game is his initials are all the boss names. He didn't do anything else. He doesn't even know what the game is.
Exactly. That world was not built by George R.R. Martin.
Fine.
There's
Fair
no real
enough.
story in that game though either, right? Like, so
There's a lot of
Apparently
lore in the
there's-
game, within the game.
but story's different from lore though.
It's not.
Right?
No, there's a lot of story there. What happens is, like, apparently with this happens with some games. It's like you have to go searching for this stuff. It's not just put right in front of you like most games.
Yeah, searching on
and
I like that.
YouTube,
I
right?
prefer
Like, it's not
I prefer to get it
game.
put right in front of me. That's what I prefer in games.
But I also like, you see, Bloodborne's, I keep saying this, but Bloodborne story is what the game presented to me. It may not even be what they were pitching or going for, but I read up on YouTube and it kind of married up with what I was thinking, but even crazier. And I like that kind of storytelling. And in fact, other developers are going to be doing that.
Yeah.
And Corey Barlog has talked about doing that. Neil Druckmann is talking about doing that because Elden Ring set the example, and they're like, we don't
I'm
want
not
this.
looking forward to anything Neil Druckmann is touching. I'm not after The Last of Us 2. That stuff.
Listen,
I'm
Joel
not looking forward
is
to
dead.
anything
It's
to what
fine.
it's nothing to do with Joel. It's his story writing. It's terrible.
But The Last of Us 2
Terrible.
is killing it on TV. It's killing it.
Last
Old
of
grannies
Us,
are talking
not The
about.
Last of Us 2. Wait till The Last of Us 2 gets played in that TV show. When that gets played out, yeah, we'll see how many people love that show. We'll see.
no. He directed the first one. Come on.
It is going to be. Can we curse here?
Yeah, of course you can.
Okay, it's going to be a shit show when they get to season 2 of what do you call
Oh,
it?
it, complete.
but
So many
here's the
people
thing.
drop off. Those numbers are going to drop.
No, I don't know if they're going to drop off.
Oh, they will.
I just know how people like react to anything like that. And whether it is good or is not good, I won't comment on that. I'll leave that to everybody. Everybody has their own different opinion on it. But I know how people react to things like that on TV. And get your popcorn ready because
Brother.
it is going to be crazy.
Everborn,
Right.
you're a writer. I know other writers as well. And every writer has told me that story is horribly written for The Last of Us 2.
Hey, there you go, my man. No. I mean, I would have made different choices, right? But this creator is free to make his choices. All I am saying is, as someone who also pays attention to the culture around television and movies the same way we pay attention to its games, it is not going to go over well with that pop culture TV audience.
Yep.
It's going to be.
I love the
agree.
fact
crazy.
your camera's depth of field has made everything clearer behind you. But
Yeah, it's like
It's the hand thing.
no, that was
Okay.
That was Neil coming after your throat.
oh man,
I respect Neil for making that choice. I'm just saying it's not going to go over well.
I don't respect him at all for that. I think the gameplay was very fun, though. Great game. The gameplay is awesome for a post-apocalyptic, zombie-esque type world that you're fighting, and it was fun. But the story, not fun whatsoever. Horrible. Just badly written, like 5th grade level writing. It was just stupid.
you didn't like it, yeah?
Oh, terrible.
I've seen worse writing in games. I feel like
This
because
big,
it's such
though?
a
This
high
big?
bar-
This big?
It's because the stakes were so high, Fonz, and he smashed it. He set such a high bar that it just, yeah. I mean, that's the singular reason I haven't played this game, because I know what happened, and it just pissed me off.
Needs
but
more
no,
sexy
no.
vending machines.
It's fun.
Yeah.
It's a fun game. Just don't look at it as a Last of Us game, because it's not. The characters are different. It's not. It's just a good post-apocalyptic zombie game, survival game. Play it as that.
Yeah,
Well-
I mean, No, I don't know. I don't know if courage is the right word, but no one would do that with their main. There's no one that would do that, and I have to
Give
say
him props for
that
that.
takes some cojones to do what they did in the
You
beginning.
did it.
Yeah.
It didn't affect the Metacritic score, if that counts for anything. Your baby father, shout out to you, man. Good to see you with the $5 super chat. Because Western RPGs and Japanese RPGs are different. Putting a J in front of RPG isn't problematic in the slightest, but he has a right to feel that. Yeah, absolutely. Gunstog, shout out to you, bruh. With the £10 super chat, he goes, have you guys not realized that we're all supposed to be perpetually offended by everything and separate ourselves into ethnic and cultural groups? Catch up. Shout out to Gunstar. We won't do that here. GameOnDaily will bring people together.
Yes.
Maybe when we're not console warring and creating division. Steady flow with the $5 super chat. Thank you, man. Because I know we're not talking about Square Enix as being racist, but we're not going to talk about the racist cartoon of African people in Atomic Heart. Did you see this, Everborn?
I heard about
I stopped
TV.
playing the game before that happened, and I was just so turned off by the game that I never went back to it. And we spoke about this earlier, that maybe subconsciously I heard about that, and that's why I didn't go back. But
Subconsciously,
again,
that's bad.
I didn't look. I didn't see this, but I heard about it. Is it really? Did you see it?
It's
though,
really
Everborn?
there, and it's definitely
It's a
racist.
caricature.
It is.
Yeah.
So what it is they included a cartoon that it just has some like racist images, like an old cartoon, and they included all 26 episodes of this thing, and you can just sit in front of a screen and watch it, kind of like how in High on Life.
High on Life, yeah.
They did the same thing, but it's an old Russian cartoon, but it basically depicted like these sort of racist caricatures of black people or a black person in there. If you sat there and watched it, and this is the idea, right? Like, you are either incompetent and you put that in there and didn't see it, or you put it in there and thought it wouldn't be a problem and didn't remove it. So
Probably the latter.
either one of those is bad. I just didn't like the game enough to even get that far.
Yeah.
So I did not know about this until I was told. Right. But there's no really excuse around it. Right. It's so
funny. We were talking about cancel culture, and we said Atomic Heart, like, you know, a lot of Ukrainians like boycott that game because of the war, and we're like, go away, it's just gaming. And then this happens, and that's a different type of issue, and now we're like, and then this, like, how do you balance the two? I mean,
I feel like I don't care enough about the game to even like get into it. Like I'm done. I've done my part.
Yeah, it's true. Though, isn't it? If the stakes were high, then maybe. But I don't know what the answer is to that one. But I did see the cartoon. I thought, like, what?
Oh, you saw it? I haven't seen it, but I can imagine, because I know there was a lot of cartoons back in the day that were pretty bad.
They're pretty bad. Have you seen some of the old, like, Looney Tunes stuff? Really bad.
There was some dark times of cartoons back in the 40s.
There were some pretty racist animators as well. Like, if you look at the history behind them, they were like pretty members of some crazy world. KSNT with the $5 super chat. Square Enix, please fix your token stereotypical black characters. Then we can talk. I was saying that, KSNT. Shout out to you. It's just cultural things. And the world gets smaller, then hopefully these things will. There's always a constant, cancel culture getting too left, and then it's getting too right. And there's always going to be a constant ebb and flow. As the world is getting smaller, and we're just trying to reconcile what in the differing belief systems, and no one's always going to agree, but as long as we can have that dialogue, hopefully we can progress in a positive way. That?
One thing I do, and I don't know that they've acknowledged this or not, I could forgive the incompetence, meaning you didn't know it was there, you just grabbed the 26 episodes, nobody watched it, and saw it, but we don't have any confirmation that is the case. So that means, to me, someone saw it and they thought it would be fine, and then it's not until someone said, "Hey, that's racist that they went and took it out. And that's worse than if it was just incompetence and they didn't realize it, right? Because you could put something in there, small team, 26 episodes, you don't know about it, you removed it as soon as you heard about it. But we haven't heard from them that is the case, that they didn't know it was there. So I have to believe that they knew it was there and they didn't see the problem, which is...
So I was watching a news report this morning actually on Russia, and a lot of people in different fields, like there was a ballerina and stuff, they're saying all the people in all the Russians in the entertainment industry are feeling like they're being canceled because of this conflict with Ukraine, and in the West they're being completely
which I think is wrong.
muzzled. It's just wrong, but then you have things like this coming out from a Russian developers, and it's like, oh, well, what's going on? It complicates things. There's so many facets to different things. Just an interesting discussion. But yeah, we've talked about it a lot for a gaming channel, to be fair. Spartan Ghost with the £2 super chat. I don't think Starfield will be that good. He doesn't think it'll be that good, Spartan Ghost.
Well, he's wrong.
Yeah.
Now, we don't know, but at the end of the day, it's a Bethesda single-player RPG, and when did they ever put out a terrible single-player RPG?
No, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well,
they have
single player. I like you.
That's the answer.
Right.
Yeah.
Because people are going to point to Fallout 76 or
Fallout 76 is not single player. Yeah.
Right. And also, did Bethesda actually make that one, or was that ZeniMax Online?
ZeniMax Online.
So,
that's what you were waiting for. That soundbite. You were waiting for that. I'm sorry I was late with that. God Emperor Sofa King, he goes, water is wet. I don't know what that is alluding to. Brandy G with a £2 super chat, $2 super chat. Pony said The Last of Us is the best story ever. Can we just get that nonsense out of the way? It's even the first one was a zombie story. It was, we talked about it before, it's The Walking Dead. It was literally like taking care, like Coral. It's just the same thing, but the intricacies of that story, the specifics were good. But okay. Alva with the $5 super chat. We have lots to get through. This is Halo 2 is the best Halo story, but imagine
Halo 4 is the best Halo story. I said it. I said it.
Fonz will eat your face.
I disagree. And I think that was well, you know what it was more than just the story itself. It was the cheap mechanics in that game. I thought the combat mechanics.
The story, though, right?
Yeah, it's different from the story. I just thought the Prometheans were really cheap enemy types. The whole, you'd almost be done with killing one and it would just teleport to somewhere else all the time.
At least it was new. Unlike Halo Infinite.
It was dumb because it happened all the freaking time. It was like, really?
Wait. Hold on a minute. Did you say Halo Infinite didn't? Or you mean story wise, or do you mean like gameplay wise?
No, enemy types.
We're not doing another Halo one.
No, we're not doing that. But Halo 2 is the best Halo story. Alvin, what are you doing? You cannot mention Halo here so irresponsibly.
Okay. I will fight for Halo Infinite's campaign gameplay.
Oh, no, we're doing
gameplay. We're not doing it.
I'll do it. I'm ready.
Gameplay was good.
No, we're not ready. We're not ready. I will concede. I'll just concede. You win.
Okay, I'm not conceding shit. Halo Infinite sucks. But anyway, no, it doesn't suck. But the campaign was great.
I thought it was decent.
Oh, we're doing the Halo thing.
It was good.
No, let's not do the Halo thing. Let's not do the Halo. It's gonna go crazy. It's gonna go crazy. Let's not do Halo.
Pixelbit is always wrong about Halo. Everyone chat throw tomatoes at Pixelbit and his constant defense of Halo Infinite because Gaz don't care what Gaz's opinion is. Get out of it. Listen, Pixelbit, everyone throw tomato emojis at Pixelbit because he's been capping for that failure of the game. Next topic. I
stand with Pixel. I said it.
I hope
to go down the Halo road.
Sonic is shit. Mario kicked the crap out of it. Wow. Overrated. Sega should go down.
Gaz, why does he have to pick a fight with me? Mario crap. What are we doing here?
Mario is a
both back in the day.
And she left him on the moon. You ran through the whole world in Mario Odyssey. Went into space to get Peach. She got kidnapped and left you on the moon with Bowser.
When I was a kid,
worse than Miles Morales.
When I was a kid, both Sonic and Mario were great. As an adult, they both suck. Okay, they both suck.
Also disagree.
Sonic sucks today. hard.
Sonic sucks hard, bro.
no,
I was a
hard
Sonic
now.
guy. I was a Sega guy. But because of what you said about Halo, I just there's not enough tomatoes.
Right,
Throw
Franz,
more
I'm
at
coming to
Pixel.
your show. We're gonna debate Sonic and how you're wrong about him. But let's move
Well,
on.
when it hits a decent Metacritic, then let me know. Sonic Mania was the only one, and that was like a Sonic 2. Anyway, Elden Ring expansion, Shadow of the Erd Tree. Now, I've just today gone back to Elden Ring after Wolong has revitalized my testes. I don't know what to say, but Elden Ring, Asa, talk to me. Shadow of the Erd Tree. What do you think this is going to be? It's an expansion. When is it coming out? Will it have a big impact?
It won't have a big impact. A whole lot of people are going to go back to playing more Elden Ring because that game has a massive following of people that absolutely loved it, and this is an expansion for it. So of course it's suddenly going to become a big deal again for a little while everyone goes and consumes the crap out of the new content. I'm like you though, I haven't actually finished it. Elden Ring. I've got further than you have, but my play of Elden Ring, I was enjoying it. I was having a good time. I was exploring the world, and then exploring the world and killing stuff got a little bit dreary. But I saw a flail, or I looted a flail that I really liked. Flails are quite rare in games. It was a nice triple-headed morning star, and I was like, oh, I like the style of this, but I've not built my character to use it whatsoever. So I spent the next quite a lot of hours respecking, like pumping all of my whatever the runes are into dexterity until I could use it. And that was a good day. I got it. I got this flail and I was using it. I was running around going, hey, I'm having a great time. I don't know what to aim for now. I've run out of things that are interesting. And I'm just exploring and killing things and exploring and killing things and exploring and killing things and getting killed a fair amount too because you're supposed to. And then I kind of stopped. And I figured, because I'm playing on the PC as well, right? So the PC had some performance issues that shouldn't be there. Like it runs beautifully most of the time, and then for completely no reason whatsoever, you'll get like 4 seconds of stutter. So I figured I love this game and I'm going to come back to it, but I'm going to wait for that ray tracing update that's supposed to be any day now, and I'm going to wait for this stutter issue to be fixed. And then I put it to one side and played something else, and those things haven't arrived yet, as far as I'm aware. And people in chat, if you're playing on, it was supposed to. They promised that at launch that it was going to have ray tracing shortly after. People in chat though might know more about the PC version. If that has been fixed, I'd love to know it. I've got my character ready to go, and I do want to get back to that game and finish it. But again, it's just time, and I've just left it to one side, waiting for things to change while I've been playing other things. So I'm quite looking forward to the expansion. It's a good excuse to get back into the game for me.
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, the PC version, Asa, I'm not a One Piece fan, but the people of the modding community there's a One Piece mod. It looks so good. I couldn't believe it was a mod. The whole level was like updated. Characters like your Luffy. I watched 20 episodes. And I'm like, this is not for me. But the modding community, when they do PvP, they're like Goku flying in the sky, fighting there. It's crazy.
The modding community on PC is amazing. They do some great things with so many different games. Bethesda being a lot of those games too, that they have made so many cool different like looks for their worlds.
Yeah.
I'm looking at that One Piece one right now. It looks amazing.
Yeah, the One Piece mod, like it looks insane. I don't know if they can pull that up. They even changed
the bosses and everything, and they look incredible.
It looks so good. I would play that. I would pay good money for that. Like that looks like a whole different engine. It looks like a different game. Yeah, no, different game, right? I was like, that can't be Elden Ring. That can't be Elden Ring. And it looked so good.
Dude, it looks incredible.
It looks stunning.
They do some stellar work.
Asa, I know you get annoyed at me when I ask for little request. Asa, some freaking G. Wait, no, he's not. He's got Everborn's anime. No, it's not. I thought it was Everborn's anime. It looked like that at the start, bro. It's on the stream right now, ladies and gentlemen. If you're listening on Spotify, look at your phone and turn on the camera. It says subscribe for whoever this channel is.
Yeah, that's the first one that came up. So. Yeah, we're skipping that.
Oh, man. Oh, it's really good. Chat, if you have time after the show, definitely check it out.
It's good.
Fun Face 23, Brooklyn, New York. You're so messy. He goes, which game got you in your feelings like Last of Us Part 2 and Horizon Forbidden West on Xbox? What?
Halo
$20?
5. Halo 5. Halo 5 pissed
Halo
me
5.
off, and I talked a lot about it in podcasts and
They
got a lot of
disagreed
hate from
with each other.
Xbox guys. Yeah, so it's not just because it's on PlayStation. I know what you're trying to do, but I love PlayStation games as well. Some of my favorite games are PlayStation. The Last of Us is one of my favorite games ever, Face. But The Last of Us 2 was trash. Sorry.
You like
Story was
Ghost, didn't you?
Ghost of Tsushima is one of my favorite games. Yeah, last year, 2 years ago when that dropped, that was my game of the year.
Yeah.
Loved it.
I mean, for me, one of the best games so far this generation so far, one of them is Returnal. Everyone says I hate PlayStation, but I haven't I'm not that impressed with the other PlayStation games. Yeah.
You know what? I was just talking to this about this with Rand, funny enough, today about PlayStation games that have hit so far this generation just have not been as great as past games that they've had from the last generation. And I don't know if it's just because it's sequels. That's one thing we were talking about. It might be the sequel effect, the fact that it's not as good, but there has been sequels in other franchises that were better than the originals. Remember? There was games out there. I would argue Red Dead 2 better than the original. But also
I like Ratchet and Clank.
Also, outside of most people that I talk to that are PlayStation fans will say that Returnal is the best game this generation so far for them.
And Seafood.
It's the only game they didn't buy.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It was always a niche kind of game to defend that. The same way Hi-Fi Rush is a rhythm action game, is also not going to do mad numbers. It's also one of the best games I've played this gen. It's just like maybe our tastes are different, or I don't know. But it doesn't have the impact. Even Ragnarok, I haven't gone back to it. I don't even feel
Ragnarok is not as good as 2018. Absolutely not. And people that are real about it and that I've spoken to, Rand's included. By the way, he even admits that it's not as good as 2018.
Throwing Rand right under the bus.
No, that's not throwing him under the bus. That's just I'm sure he would say it too, but it's not as good as 2018.
So
it's a good game, but it's not as good.
I will stand on this square with Fonz.
I haven't completed it, so I can't talk.
Ragnarok, and this is coming from someone who did not play the original God of War until 2021. Right, I played it on the PlayStation 5. First time. So it was very fresh in my mind. They do evolve the combat a little bit. I see them saying that in the chat, and that's true. The combat is a little bit more involved, but it is not. And again, that's very difficult to do, right? Because they made a big jump as to what God of War was in 2018's game. So this is just more of that, and it's more sort of refined, but it doesn't have that sort of shock and awe of being something new. It is just a continuation of 2018. So you sort of, I get why, people might feel, myself included, not be as wowed or as blown away by Ragnarok, because it really just feels like it's completing that journey, that story, but it doesn't feel like it's a new game. It feels like very much of the same, but they've evolved the combat a little bit more.
It was a continuation of the other one. That's what it was. But somebody in the chat said that it does everything better than the first game. Mechanically, I would agree. It does do. It is better in that respect. But as far as pacing goes, no, it absolutely does not. Pacing wise, the game is very slow, especially at the beginning. There is a lot of puzzle moments in this game, a lot more than 2018.
Is it really a puzzle if they tell you exactly what to do?
And that's annoying too. But at the same time, like, I'm just stating this. I liked it. I thought it was great. It was a good, solid 8 out of 10. Great game, but it was not as good as 2018. 2018 got a 9 out of 10 for me. That game was better. Yeah. And you know what was funny about this game too? It was like they showed a lot, or they did a lot that they did in the first game. Like, it was sort of mimicking 1-to-1 what was going on from the first one. The stranger showing up at the house. You got Odin showing up to the house. Then a fight ensues. The same shit. Like,
there was a lot of repetition.
More of Atreus being a dick.
He was a dick in the first one.
But it was worse than this. And here's the thing. Kratos didn't fall for it in the first one. I feel like Kratos went soft, right? He's just
he did do that. He did do that.
He's taken everything that happens in Ragnarok. Ragnarok happened because of Atreus and them listening to him. They told him to sit his ass down. He didn't want to sit his ass down, and now all of these people got to die.
No spoiler territory. No spoiler territory, by the way.
No, I mean that's not spoilers, right? Like you're telling the kid to sit his ass down, and the kid didn't sit his ass down.
Yeah. We're talking too much about Ragnarok. Let's move on.
Sorry.
Yeah. True. I haven't completed it, but Asa, your words.
It's good. You'll like it. You'll like it. It's fun. It's just you need to get past some of those very slow parts. The pacing is off.
That's where I'm at the moment. I will have to go back. The backlog is killing me. Alvin with a $5 super chat goes, that super chat earlier with the Halo one, was it The Last of Us 2 metaphor? If y'all actually go through it. We didn't. The moment we read out the word Halo, it went all down to crap. Apologies, Alvin. It's just the nature of this podcast and the very spicy topic that is Halo. Now, we're pushed for time. And I had some topics. I'll just tell you what the chat and everyone. We had Xbox team visits Kojima or the other way around. That pissed people off. But really, I was going to ask this question, Asa, to lead with this. How do you think this relationship will work? Is it a forced one, or do you think there is going to be synergy between Xbox and this amazing, incredible man?
I hope for synergy. We've talked about this a few times before. So Kojima has his wild cloud native or idea that requires native cloud processing to create. And apparently he ran this idea past various other publishers, and they all said he was balmy and didn't want anything to do with it. But Microsoft were willing to engage with it and to take it forwards. The big hope for it. And I've always said I'm a big fan of the prospect of cloud native gaming. A lot of people get it muddled up with the idea of cloud streaming, like xCloud and Stadia and all that kind of thing. But that's not what cloud native gaming is. Cloud native gaming is using a hell of a server farm to do things that you could not do locally. Not games that you could play locally instead, but something completely new and completely different. And Microsoft has set up a whole team dedicated to exploring this area of new technology and excitement that I really hope pans out and becomes something good. But they've partnered with Kojima to kind of pioneer it and deliver something that could be really special, or it could be a mobile phone match 3 kind of nonsense piece of crap. So it's really could go in any direction. What I don't massively care for myself, I don't care about seeing them wearing Xbox jerseys and having cuddles or whatever. That doesn't mean anything to me. Just get on with it. Talk about what the game is when you're ready. I'm ready to hear about it. I hope it turns out to be something really exciting, but it could be crap. We don't know yet.
I'm kind of there with you, but Everborn, there is some value in the cuddles and the Xbox pajamas and stuff. Now, what did you think? And the toasters. Oh God, the tools.
I think that Microsoft, just looking at their history of Xbox and how Phil Spencer and Matt Booty and whoever else does things, they kind of let studios cook. So my worry, this is my great fear with this whole Kojima endeavor, is that they're going to let him go full Kojima. They're not going to push back anything, and that was probably a part of the deal, getting him to sign on.
I love
and when you let Kojima go full Kojima,
never go full Kojima,
right? I worry about this thing. So I am more excited about this in the same way you can't look away from what when you hear the tires screech. And then you don't know if there's actually going to be a car crash, right? So this is what I'm looking at with this. Not since Metal Gear have I played or cared about a Kojima game. I've had several opportunities to play Death Stranding, and every time I've looked at it, I've said no. So we'll see what he does, but just understand, Microsoft is not going to put any breaks. There will be no editing. There will be no studio notes from Microsoft. They're just going to let him go crazy. And that will be a sight to behold. So,
do you agree with that, Fonz? Kojima is probably. They're so scared of Kojima. They're so desperate to have Kojima on the Xbox banner. That's what Everborn is suggesting, that they wouldn't dare meddle in his affairs, dare not even say or peep the word quality control to this man. What do you think?
I'm not worried about this situation at all because I'm not a big fan of Kojima and his games. So
Fair enough.
I respect the guy. He is a legend in the industry. He brought a lot to this industry. Cinematics was one of the things that he did first. Like, he was the one that really brought that into this gaming industry. And Metal Gear, I had some great fond memories with Metal Gear. The first one on NES, I played that to death back when I was a kid.
Oh, wow.
I love Metal Gear Solid. I played everything up until about 4, and it just started getting weirder and weirder. Every Metal Gear progressed a bit into that weird territory where it just got stranger and stranger the further you got into it. And then by 5, I was like, what the hell is going on here? Like, I don't even recognize this franchise anymore. But even that, I had some fun with 5. But outside of Metal Gear, like, I'm just not a big fan of Kojima. Like, his games are just not for me. Death Stranding does nothing for me. It just looks boring. So,
no one is going to go to Kojima and say, Kojima-san, the studio over at Microsoft would just like to know if we could potentially cut the scene where the woman pulls the umbilical cord out of her uterus and strangles a man. That's not going to happen. They're just going to let it go down, and it's going to be a 30-minute cut scene. And we're all going to watch it and pretend
not the strangulation of babies with umbilical cords, but the fact that when you were whenever one of you were saying that, I thought that would be quite the spectacle to let this Japanese developer, renowned for some of the best storytelling, like on an Xbox console, which has a very clear identity.
Guys, if I was worried at all about this game, I'd be more inclined to worry what Asa had said earlier, worry about that, about the fact that this could be just like a cell phone game or something weird, like, something.
It can go either way.
But
I think it should happen, because
what if it's a card game?
Are important.
Yes, absolutely. Look. A card game with what? What is it?
A card game with Xbox cards. Who knows? Like,
cloud. He's using the tech.
Don't
you believe in the power of the cloud?
I don't think so. I'm not excited for Kojima at all, but I understand the stigma around him. I understand what people feel about the guy and push him up on this pedestal, and I understand all of that. And, in that regards, I look at him being with Xbox, doing anything with them, as something of a positive thing, because a lot of people do love his stuff, but I personally don't. So it's just not exciting to me.
The guy deserves a lot of respect. Zone of Enders, that was the thing I was looking for. Zone of Enders was such a good game. It's only if... Because what I haven't seen Kojima say is like, I've had like with Starfield, like Todd Howard said, it took 20 years. This is their vision. They've always wanted to make this game, but tech wasn't there. Kojima doesn't say when he describes this game, unless the translations don't accurately portray what he feels, but it doesn't come across as him saying like, this is a game I have been envisioning and only possible with some really crazy tech. Although, to be fair, he did say he actually pitched the idea to multiple parties. No one was interested, but Microsoft
I wonder why.
But that can go either way. I don't know. Let's just see. Ultimately, I agree with you, Everborn. It's good to have. Let's see what happens.
It's also hyperbole too, because you got to remember this is the same guy who was touting, a fresh new game type for Death Stranding, and he called it the Strand game or whatever. And then you saw it and you're like, what? But okay, whatever.
I suspect that I won't like it, but I am in full support that it happens.
Absolutely, that's a good attitude to have.
Yeah, that's what I say too. Yeah, exactly.
Because
I'm not excited,
even if
whatever.
Even if it's like super weird, but there's some sort of technological leap by doing like this cloud native kind of thing, someone else may be able to put it in a more refined package. Not refined, that's the wrong word, because that's
maybe a different way that's more
but a more palatable, right? Like a more mainstream package. But this work, I think, is important work, and and it needs to be done for
But mind you, if it is not good, believe me, you're going to hear people out there saying it's because it's on Xbox. It's because of Xbox.
Well, you already know that.
Yeah.
well, that's going to
And it's
happen.
going to be Phil's fault.
But if this game was, but if the game was on PlayStation, it would have been a banger.
Yeah, that's what I'm mindful of. Like, there's that kind of.
I mean, they liked Stray for crying out loud, and Stray got nominated for Game of the Year. Like,
that's criminal over Sifu. Oh, come on, it won.
Just a joke.
Not nominated. It won Indie of the Game. We're like, what?
About over Sifu, over Cult of the Lamb.
Yeah, I heard that was a big game. I didn't play it, but I heard it was a very loved game.
Just like Death's Door, I'm seeing the common thread there.
Stray is not even close to Death's Door.
Not Stray, Cult of the Lamb. The combat in Cult of the Lame is not Cult of the Lame. I thought that was like did not mean that. So Cult of the Lamb is like it has a whole load of different systems and building and cult management, but besides that, when you go out exploring and you get into the combat, it's like beat for beat, button to button, you're playing Death's Door all over again. So I can see why you like it.
No, it was nowhere near as good as Death's Door to combat. Stop that.
There's people out there that actually. There's people out there that think Forspoken was a banger. Jeez.
I don't know if El Greco 17, your quote is correct, but this could be fake news, but apparently this is the Kojima quote regarding this game. There is a game I've always wanted to make. It's completely new game, ... I've waited very long for the day when I could finally start to create it. You know what? I'm going to copy and paste that. In case you're peddling fake news, El Greco, I will come for your face.
No, that sounds right. I think I heard that one before.
Oh, no, he's right. El Greco, yeah. I apologize. A quick Google search. Oh, wow. It's a completely new game, one that no one has ever experienced. I've waited very long for the day I could finally start to create it. With Microsoft's cutting-edge cloud tech and the change in the industry's trend, it has now become possible to challenge myself. I'm getting hyped reading this quote to make this never-before-seen concept. It may take some time, but I'm looking forward to teaming up with Xbox Game Studios.
I hope to bring listening to
listen. We'll soak up the hyperbole. We need this. Xbox fans desperately need it. But it could. I mean, okay, fine. Look, it could be marketing speak, or it could be think. But it's opposite of what I said earlier.
Will they back up the marketing speak?
It's marketing speak that he pitched to a lot of other people, and they all shut the door on him. But Microsoft said, "Yes, come in." And that's the difference.
Microsoft is also in the business of just greenlighting everything, and I'm saying it would be more advantageous for Microsoft, the idea of Kojima doing a game for them, like marketing wise, than if they actually lost on.
And it didn't matter what type of game it was.
I don't think it matters. I don't even think they asked what type of game it was.
So basically, you're saying that Microsoft is desperate.
I think they were desperate for Kojima.
Yeah. Desperate.
Wow.
For Kojima, they were desperate. Absolutely.
Wow.
Not desperate at all.
It's a smart play. It's the only play. Spartan Go 17.
I disagree. If somebody comes to my door trying to sell me, if somebody comes to my door trying to peddle me shit, that's not smart to buy.
But is
yes, you will. Yeah, you will. If Prince came to your door and peddled you shit, you would eat that, let alone take it off his hand.
Bro. No. But I'm just saying, like, you know, if other people turned him down on this, there's got to be a reason.
Come on, Microsoft cannot.
Hold on. Other people didn't really have the tech to do it unless it was Google, and Google kind of shut their thing down. So who else was going to do it?
What about Luna?
It's all about cloud tech.
What about Luna?
Luna's a joke.
Luna. No. They've got the tech. They've got the tech, though. They've got the tech for it. I'm just stating the obvious. The fact that he did pitch this to other people and they didn't want to hear it, and he's with Microsoft now, and it's going to be Game Pass fodder. Thank you. Good night.
Yes, James, I know Prince is dead. Spartan Go 17 with the £2 super chat. If Microsoft wants to waste money on Kojima, I don't give a damn. Of course. That's the right attitude. People, let the game live. Microsoft's money. Let them spend it. Right. Exactly. It's a smart play. It's the only play. Like, do you remember before this deal goes, the Colin Moriarty was like, Colin. Colin Moriarty, I like his podcast. I
like Colin. I listen to him all the time.
They absolutely hate me. They've said they will never come on my show ever again, or our show ever again. They'll never want to entertain me unless Ace is only hosting it on his own. But because I call loosely, irresponsibly, in a jokey way, had a slur for Dustin Furman, which I apologized publicly, but he ignored me, which is fine. It's fine. But he does. God's sake, you can't keep saying, but I have shares in Microsoft. Absolve yourself. You definitely have an Xbox PlayStation slant. But before his recent podcast, which will be part of the source.
Wait, is that really like an argument? I have shares in Microsoft? What?
Bro, he also says, and I would know I'm a Microsoft shareholder. He keeps using that as a counter. I was like, let me buy some PlayStation shares now, so that all the ponies were like, I can't touch gas.
You gotta accept everything you say. What are we talking about?
Well, okay, so this point was that he was very vocal about the fact that Sony cannot allow Kojima on Xbox. He said it would be so bad for the optics of Xbox. So when we were saying this game, like Ace's take is the best take, but in terms of the theatrics of it all and the perception of it all, like it is a big deal. Before this was even confirmed, and it was the likes of Jeff Grubb espousing this possibility of an Xbox game with Kojima. Colin Moriarty was very against the idea, and I completely understand. I agree with him completely. It was like, at the time, we take it for granted. Even though it was a crap E3, and because the leaks took away the spectacle of it, but Xbox is working with Kojima. It's significant. So when they put pictures up with the team, it pisses people off on the PlayStation side, rightfully so.
Does.
It really does, and it's good to see.
And they said that's why they put him in the Xbox garb. They put him in that stuff purposely to piss those people off.
But I think this is why you greenlight whatever he's doing, because even if
to piss people off,
it's not like a financial success. It's a huge marketing beat. And you can kind of amortize anything that the game may potentially lose. And I'm not saying the game will lose anything, but I'm saying you amortize some of the risk just by the marketing bump that you get for pictures like that and being associated with Kojima and having him do an exclusive for Xbox. I think it makes sense for them to do it, whatever it is.
I think we've gone on way too long about this.
On the Kojima thing. It was just great. I realized we have loads of time. We were 20 minutes late, and now we're only just hitting the 20-minute mark. We have plenty of time, and no sleep for Ace.
Shut the up. Let's go on to this next topic.
The next topic. But before that, though, El Greco 17 is on the ball here with the NOK 50. What on earth is that currency? I have no idea. Norwegian krona. Maybe. I don't know. Cloud Tech has given us Flight Simulator. I say let Kojima cook. Fact. I'm sure he has ideas no one else has thought of when it comes to cloud. I'm sure he does. Like, if you have any confidence, he will have cooked up something unique. But Microsoft Flight Sim is a great idea. It's a great example.
How many people are still playing Flight Simulator on the Series X?
I'm not playing it. It's barely a game.
I don't see anybody playing it on my list.
But it still doesn't take away from the fact. But the Flight Sim community.
That it looked amazing? Yeah, it did look amazing. It really did.
But the tech was used incredibly. Like, that's the first time I've heard Phil Spencer actually swear when he said, "You're kidding me." He said that to the developer when he thought it was real life.
What Flight Sim does, it's like a combination of local rendering and also rendering in the cloud. Is that what they're doing?
That's what the gentleman is alluding to, and that's really good use of that tech. Like Asa says, like there's so much scope here. Offload AI and all sorts in cloud. We've talked about this ad nauseum, but let's see. Before we go into the final topic, one subtopic. Apparently, Microsoft is looking to sell Xbox, according to industry pundit Andy Robinson, who I like from VGC. He's had some pretty weird takes, and he got murked. He got royally murked for saying this. He goes, why? Because he said, according to some, in fairness, the overreaction on the other side was
I don't think it was an overreaction, but
why would people not look? Why would a business not look to sell off, especially after they acquired something like Bethesda or all of ZeniMax, I should say, and
That's what
really
makes it stupid.
pump a lot of money into Game Pass, really try to push this subscription service off. But then if ABK deal doesn't go through, we're quitting. Like, how does that even make sense?
Because, and so just to add context to people in chat. So Phil Spencer in this interview said, it was asked a question and he answered, look, if the ABK deal doesn't go through, it's still business as usual for Xbox. So we'll obviously proceed. It's not going to be the death of Xbox. And people are like, duh, obviously. But Andy Robertson of VGC says, well, actually, I've talked to a few pundits who think that if the deal doesn't go through, Microsoft could sell Xbox.
Okay, but
and
a pundit
Tom Warren came back from The Verge. He was like, what are you talking about?
Are those the same pundits who said that Sony was going to acquire Take-Two if the ABK deal goes through? Is it the same pundits?
It's probably Ty Kim and Jason Schreier. It's like the pundits, like they'll probably sell it. But
unless you've heard from a Microsoft executive or board member saying that, I think it's irresponsible to just go out and say, well, I know a guy that knows a guy that said they're going to sell it if it doesn't go through.
And that's the problem.
Yeah. What are we doing? And it's not, don't blame Twitter because you can't have nuanced conversations. You said something patently ridiculous, right? And then you got mad that people said that's patently ridiculous.
What if it's true? What if it's true? What if maybe he has, like, I don't know, Warren Buffett?
Did he say, because he said he spoke to pundits. A pundit can say anything, right?
Yeah,
Mike Packer is a pundit who has said wild things, right? No shade on Michael.
Mav says Keely, Schreier, and Take Him pundits. There could be Keely, Schreier. It could be Colin Moriarty. There'll be pundits. They'll be saying it,
right? So again, like, unless he's saying he has a source inside Microsoft that says that this is a realistic possibility, talking about it as though it is something that could materialize. For 20 years, people have been saying pundits have been saying Microsoft should get out of the gaming business. That doesn't mean it's any realistic possibility that they would. So doubling down on it, and I listened to the podcast after, and his double down excuse was even worse. So none of this makes any sense.
What was the double down excuse?
Well, he said that they're a poorly run company. He said that Activision, if the deal goes through, will take over to running Xbox, right? He talked about how they've never delivered on games, even though this year they have like 5 AAA games coming out.
Thanks to Bethesda, by the way.
Yes, thanks to Bethesda.
Colin Moriarty was saying that,
Bethesda just to sweeten it up so they can sell it up to someone else. This doesn't really hold water, and I feel like you posting a picture of you buying the first Xbox is tantamount to Colin saying I have Microsoft stock, right? Like, that doesn't give you the right to just say something dumb and we have to take it at face value. You said something. I'd rather you just own that you said something stupid. How about that? You know what? My bad. That's stupid.
Maybe he believes in the conviction of his words. Asa, you've been saying that silently for some time.
I'm sure that people have said this to him. This is not a new thing that people were saying, especially around 2014. They've even been public about saying that there was an idea of them thinking about getting rid of Xbox. We know they lost all the budget. That was a thing. But again, a pundit saying that they will sell this thing is not really anything tangible. That is a pundit making a guess. It is not the same as talking to someone within Microsoft that says it is a realistic possibility. And I just think it's like, you are, I guess you can say he's a public figure, but you run a gaming news organization, right? Like, you shouldn't be saying things like that, right? People take those things and they take it as like material, in fact. And I just think unless you have like a real sourcing saying we spoke to someone at Microsoft on the board who says that's a real consideration, you shouldn't. I don't think it's responsible. That's my thing.
Mm-hmm.
What do you say to that, Asa? Did you follow this bit?
Yeah, they're definitely selling for sure, and it's going to be great. No, so like it's a weird story because he came out and said that pundits have said this thing to him, and my experience of pundits is that generally they're not anonymous sources. They'll come out and say things to the public. That's what a pundit is. So it's a little bit strange in that sense in the first place.
Experts in their field. And
yeah, but they're talkative, so I don't know. It's weird that he refers to them as pundits, but says that he can't say who they are or where this information is coming from. The thing that I will say though is I wouldn't dismiss the idea entirely out of hand as a ridiculous concept that will never happen because it's Microsoft and they bought Nokia for 7.6 billion.
Very different circumstances.
And then they shut down Windows Phone because it didn't hit the trajectory that they were looking for. Microsoft clearly have very big, grand ambitions for Game Pass and for their cloud services and all the rest of it. And we know that they're stuttering a little bit. So I'm definitely not of the opinion that Microsoft are going to sell Xbox if the Activision Blizzard King deal doesn't go through. But if anything, like if they do not get the traction that they're looking for in those services, yes, they've said they're all in on gaming. That doesn't mean that they won't change their mind and shut it down if it's not going where they want it to, because they are a ruthless company that would do that in a heartbeat. What I found really interesting about it, though, is for me, if Microsoft spun off Xbox and Xbox became its own thing that was no longer Microsoft, it was Xbox. Like, me as a gaming fan, I quite like Xbox. I don't give a shit about Microsoft. Why are people upset by this? Like, you actually like this company or what? Like,
I
who
think
cares?
it's because the coffers would be significantly dwindled. Like that constant the promise of them churning the funding.
Well, I think it's more for me. It's more of if they were to sell, the only people that could afford them is somebody like a Tencent, and that would be horrible.
So just Asa, just really quick though. The thing is this. What you're talking about is a future trajectory if the business doesn't do what it needs to do, and there's no and you know the bar charts are going in the wrong direction. But the bar charts are not going in the wrong direction right now. They are seeing uptick. They are selling more units than they've ever sold at this point. They are making more money than they've ever made. Again, I'm sure they wanted to go faster, but again, what the tweet was and what the podcast was talking about is that people were saying as a result of Activision not going
that's
through,
where
and that's wrong.
That's where he went south with it.
I'm saying it is patently wrong. So if they did decide to sell at a future date, it wouldn't be just because the Activision deal doesn't go through.
Yeah, exactly. Right? And I think Asa agreed with that. He said the same thing.
I did indeed.
But, sorry, what were you going to say?
I was celebrating KY Bob. KY Bob popped up with the message. KY Bob is the first member that we've had, has been a member of the channel for 26 months, which is phenomenal.
Everyone,
and nobody can keep up. Nobody can catch that.
To him.
KY's staying forever.
We're going to let this song play, get demonetized for KY Bob. Shout out to him for being a member, the first ever one. And he always supports everyone. So shout out. He says the OG team member stepping by. Show has come a long way. Very nice. And thanks to people like you. Thank you for making that happen. PlayStation VR 2 chats with a £5. Oh, God, you call yourself after the device. Xbox Game Pass subs are still not hitting the target. Console sales are falling. Games are getting delayed. Development trouble. Microsoft could cut the cord. Do we take PlayStation VR 2 man seriously when he says that?
Do we have any like? I mean, you got to think about this too. We just had that pandemic, and it did affect every developer out there by 2 years, right? And sure, you could say, well, Sony managed to put some games out here and there, and yeah, but they were all delayed as well. Like everything that they put out last year was a delayed game from the previous year, and this year. What do they have first party themselves? They have one game, and that's the end of this year. It's Spider-Man 2. This could have affected them in a bigger way that we don't know about right now.
Yeah.
We don't know. So to just sit there and point fingers at just Microsoft, yes, they've had issues. Yes, there's been troubles, but there's also been a worldwide pandemic that affected everyone. So
you're not supposed to say that, Fonz.
No, I said it because it did.
Excuse, forget it. Forget the 100.
No, you can't make it.
It's not. You can't bring it up.
The fact remains that development cycles are a thing, and when you're pushed back 2 years, that's huge for a development cycle. So Yeah, I can see why games were pushed.
Also, I do want to
delayed.
point out when we talk about the pipeline and things like that, a lot of what we see with Xbox now, especially with last year, although I do feel like that's related to the ABK thing. I can't prove it, but I feel like that's what it is. But I do think the issue that we see with Xbox and their content delivery pipeline is a result of lack of investment 5 years ago. And that's coming to rear its ugly head. And so there's nothing they can do short of building a time machine other than start from the point they started from and then start to release the games. I think I think they have been delayed by the pandemic, and that hit different teams harder than other teams. Because if your team is already distributed, you can handle things like that, right? You can handle the whole work from home and not coming to the office. And there are, again, some teams that are able to handle that better than others, and that's fine, right? But and I'm not telling anybody you have to give them time or whatever, but looking at this specific moment in time is not necessarily indicative of the sky is falling over there. We have to see what they release, and if all they needed was time, and then all these games actually hit, like Starfield and Hellblade and all those things actually hit. It's not like they're gonna say they're better managed now. It's just that they need what the thing they needed was time. And the games may come out and be terrible. Who knows? But I think we have to let the games come out and then decide whether it's a shit show over there or not, right? And for them to that's why this whole argument of them selling, like, they invested all this money. We're finally about to see what the investment has wrought. Right, we're about to see Bethesda put out their games. We're about to see Microsoft put out the games in the studios that they've acquired and now have invested into. And now would be the time to sell instead of seeing what those things do.
Yeah, but okay, let me play devil's advocate. This is a tweet that I liked from BG, Broken Games HD. Shout out to him. He says, Hellblade came out in 2017 with Splatoon 2, Horizon Zero Dawn, Neo, Xenoblade 2, and Breath of the Wild. All of these games have released sequels, except Breath of the Wild, which has a sequel coming out in a couple of months. Why is this taking so much longer, Hellblade 2, and the rest of these games?
Okay, but what if Hellblade comes out at the end of the year? That would mean it came out in the same year as what do you call it? And what if it comes out at the beginning of next year, right? That's, again,
what happens if it doesn't?
So what? Then it comes out in a few months from then. Like, it's not that far off, right?
What is
so
that?
If it comes out,
what if it doesn't come out all of next year? Would you be worried then? Because you haven't seen anything from these first-party studios since 2018. How much time are you going to give? 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 5 years? You're still okay with it.
So here's the thing, right? I feel like this is sort of, and we do this a lot, right? We do this a lot sort of in this debate. Like, we let someone else define these terms that would whatever. And I know you're not doing that, but I definitely know that that's what BG was doing. Shout out to BG. I consider BG a friend. But so what we're saying is, like, if we're using Breath of the Wild came out in 2017. Now in 2023, we're getting it, right? What do you call it? Came out in
and if we're talking about Horizon Zero Dawn used a lot of the same assets too.
Right. So, and again, we're talking about a game that is being completely rebuilt, right? This is a completely new thing. And so what if it takes a few more months? Because a game takes a few more months, we're saying that, like, oh, there's cause for worry, right? That doesn't make sense. Right.
And so labs, when is that coming out?
Until 2025. We don't have evidence that it's not coming out until 2025. Right.
Okay. When would you carve out a line in the sand and say
there's no line right now? And I'll tell you why. And I know what you're asking, right? There's no line because right now they are delivering, right? 2022 was the worst year in Xbox history, right? Just as far as first party goes. Worst year. I have no problem saying that, right? 2023, Hi-Fi Rush, Redfall, Starfield, right? Forza Motorsport. If you're into Minecraft Legends, and a lot of people are, Game Pass is having a big game every month, and we're still going to get more big games at the end of the year. So what I am saying is, if we get into 2024 and they don't have releases that are like big releases like they have this year, then I have a problem. But right now, let them do what they need to do. They are delivering right now. We're on the cusp, and forget about ABK completely. Right? I'm just talking about Hi-Fi Rush, Motorsport, Redfall, Starfield. And then we're going to get more in the second half of the year, right? If that is not enough, then we are playing double standards. I'm sorry. I refuse to let someone who is already like has a slant in a different direction tell me what I should be worried and upset about. They're delivering right now.
Well, that's the whole purpose of the question, is to get your view. And Jesse P in chat goes, Gaz isn't that loud when he's got someone push back on his silly narratives. No, Jesse P, it's called hosting a show and asking questions. And when
this is not about Gaz. Gaz didn't pose the question. He's talking about
to play devil's advocate and put someone else's thing. That's how conversations work. But blind experts won't see that because they can't understand, listen, or even comprehend the basic premise of what a conversation is. Mr. 2 opinionated with the $5, who, as I say that, I don't understand the super chat here. He goes, PlayStation has more Spider-Man 2 then, thanks to Square. Same energy, baby. Gents, do you understand? I'm not missing that one. PlayStation has more Spider-Man 2 then, thanks to Square. Same energy, baby. What is that?
I can't remember the conversations that we've had. I assume what they're getting at is that Sony's catalogue is being fleshed out by Forspoken and Final Fantasy 16. So they've not only got Spider-Man 2, if you look at it in terms of exclusives rather than looking at it in terms of first party.
But you know, same energy applies on the other side. They constantly push the first party narrative, and they constantly say, well, third party deals don't count. It's all about that first party.
I'm just the translator.
So, yeah, no. I know what you're doing, Asa, but it's ridiculous that the goalposts are always moved, always with these fanboys, and it's dumb. At the end of the day, look, developers take time to make good games. It's that simple. If you can't wait for a good game, that's on you. I could very much wait for a good game. I've been hyped for Starfield for a long time. Am I out here with pitchforks saying it better come out in March? Hell no.
You are saying it better be 60 frames though. You did bring the pitchforks.
Oh, 60 frames. That's a different argument altogether, sir.
Yeah.
Listen,
it could still be a great game. It could still be a great game without it, but I want my 60 frames.
Like, I kind of fought against the things need to be 60 frames. I don't care about it, but now getting used to it, I just finally, right, because I got it on sale,
right?
Tried to play Gotham Knights, and it's at 30 frames a second, and I felt like I was watching like a flip book. I couldn't do it.
Hey, dealer showed me the gameplay for that game, and I'm just like, "What?"
I played it at 30. I played it at 30, and I had a fun time with it. But it was hard to get used to at first. It really is when you're used to 60 frames.
If you're flipping back from, you don't notice it if you're playing a bunch of 30 FPS games.
Yeah, but no, I went from 60 to 30, and it was rough, and it took me some time to get acclimated. But once I did, I had a good time with it. Same would be for Starfield, but I don't want that anymore. I want 60.
Yeah, fair enough. Console gamers are now seeing the light. Again, gamer by choice with a $5 super chat. Everborn is right. If he is a dev, he as a dev is not worried, then let's give studios time to develop and deliver games. Great show, everyone. Absolutely. It's also about time. And ultimately, all these delays will be spoken about by quality. If the quality isn't there, then
I don't see Sony guys bitching about Factions 2 not being out yet.
Yeah, well,
I don't see Sony guys really doing that. No, I don't see them on Twitter saying, where is it? And you know, sending the pitchforks over to Naughty Dog. I don't see that.
Well, they did send certain things over to Naughty Dog when they were trying
to get the release date for God of War. Yeah, that's different.
But here's the thing. Like, I understand that just because, you know, Sony has a steady pipeline for this. So they're not worried for the same reason I'm not worried about. Does Sony have a steady
pipeline?
No, I'm saying historically they've had a steady pipeline of
not the beginning of last generation. It was It was.
Oh no,
kinda
it wasn't. And
mediocre
the Xbox One
at
had the
first.
better launch, and the media covered it as though they had no games, even though they did say TV. Even though we keep talking about Last of Us on TV right now, but that's neither here nor there. But the Xbox One had better games at launch, at least, and for the first 2 years, better AAA exclusives. But anyway, back to the present. I understand people saying give Naughty Dog the time, because Naughty Dog, PlayStation as a whole, and Xbox, the last 5 years has been very different in terms of releases. So if Sony tells you we need a little bit more time, you believe them. When Microsoft says it, you have reservations, because they haven't really been delivering AAA like zeitgeist games at a steady clip over the last 5 years. So you get questions. I get the questions. I get why people wouldn't ask for Sony, but like what I don't agree with is to like say, well, what, things like Hellblade are a problem, or why you're getting games delivered right now. And the roadmap right now is more clearly defined for Xbox in terms of AAA exclusives than it is for PlayStation at the moment. And I don't doubt that PlayStation will deliver, and they're holding their cards close to the chest, probably because of the Activision thing. But the roadmap is what the roadmap is. So if we're going on the data that's in front of us, it's Xbox that's delivering right now with a clear roadmap.
Yeah, at least they have a discernible one, because I'm past Spider-Man, then you got Wolverine, and then you've got
But Wolverine's not coming this year. We have no idea when Wolverine's coming.
Probably, I would say at the earliest, holiday 2024, maybe 2025 spring.
Yeah.
But that's besides the point. Like, we know they have good games in production as well. I don't shit on Sony games. I love Sony games, but well, I do shit on a few that are pretty terrible, like the Horizon franchise. Yes, it's terrible in my opinion. But no, I think that that's one thing that a lot of people assume, the fact that, just because some of us are, play on Xbox more, that we don't like Sony at all. And it's crazy, man. Like, of course I like some of their games, but the fact remains is this: Spider-Man 2 is the only first-party game that they've got this year. So of course, I'm thinking, what's coming after that? Like what is next for them? What do you guys think is next? I mean, next year, what do you think is coming? I mean, we don't know. I thought they would have made some kind of splash at the last State of Play. I thought they would have showed something that's in the works.
You want to tell me what conspiracy theory? What I think?
Evermore conspiracy. Here we go.
I think that they are holding on to the greatest E3 level show that we have ever seen.
That would be awesome.
2016 levels, and I think they're holding on to it until this Activision thing plays out, and they're gonna.
You might be right.
As soon as it closes, you're gonna see the melt your face greatest PlayStation show you've ever seen, and they're gonna be like, "What COD? We don't need that." Right? So
I will laugh,
and I feel like that's why they're not they're not showing their hand right now. One,
I think you could be right.
Used against them to say, look at all these exclusive great games that they have. They don't need COD. That's one reason they're not doing it.
Yeah.
But also, you want to save that shock and awe, because when the deal like actually closes and everybody's like, oh my God, Microsoft got Activision and COD, they're gonna say, yeah, don't worry about that. Look over here. They're masters at that. They're masters at waiting till everybody's piling up on them, and then they do a haymaker. Yeah. So I'm not worried about Sony like one bit.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it. I'm just wondering like what's coming. Like, I really thought they would show something, but you're right. I should have thought of that too. That they'll probably wait.
Yeah. No. It may be a case of they may be a bit light on their future roadmap. That's a distinct possibility. It's not just that they're holding their cards close to the chest. They're just buying time. We'll see in the next couple of years. This year and next year, we'll have to see. Mr. Opinionated, thank you for the $2 super chat. Ace's translation was on point. This final topic, ladies and gentlemen. Now, the deal it seems like a lot of people are viewing the deal more positively.
Don't jinx it. Don't mess this up.
But it's a significant development in this whole ABK fiasco for ages, Sony has been sitting quietly, and it's just the regulators have been siding with them, and then boom, right here, the FTC judge orders Sony to comply with Microsoft's subpoena, which means full disclosure to, and since 2019 onwards, of all I think it's all communications and documentation leading to
all
these
third-party licensing back to 2019 January 1st. So that's like 3-4 years, whatever.
Yeah,
and all those custodians, right? And there was one specific custodian that, which is like a Sony employee that handled kind of documents. There's one that Sony did not want Microsoft to get, and that's this McCurdy guy. And he used to work for Microsoft, and now he works for Sony. Or I think he no longer works for Sony either, but he worked for both, and he worked for Microsoft a lot longer. I wonder if they really wanted him because maybe he told them something that that maybe was under NDA, but you can't bring that up because you're not really supposed to know that. But now that the judge has ordered that they get all his documents, it will show some things to the judge, who, by the way, seems very fair. And this is not because they didn't give Microsoft everything, right?
Yeah.
They definitely didn't give Sony everything. And this
the performance
judge
review stuff is
right.
Yeah.
This judge has thrown out cases that the FTC has brought where he felt like they didn't prove it. So a lot of people thought Microsoft wasn't getting a fair shake with the FTC. I think that they are just via this Judge Campbell. So he seems very above board, and he seems like he's just calling balls and strikes, which is all you can ask. So if it doesn't go Microsoft's way with the FTC judge, I think we should respect that. Right, because it does seem like he's calling it fair.
Yeah, but Asa, the FTC ordered judges that's like Everborn has suggested, like he seems very fair, and he's made this order on that basis. What are we expecting here? We know Sony money hats a lot. How could this help Microsoft? What are you expecting? Like, are you expecting oh wow, well that's bad. These guys are pretty notorious for doing this. What that's not a feasible thing, no? That could come out from there.
Don't care. I don't care. I'm sorry. I know this isn't a good answer for a show like this, but for me, the things that have happened in the last week in the whole ABK thing are just part of the process. Very little of interest. I mean, as people that follow the industry pretty closely, we've all got a fair idea of the kind of deals that Sony are making anyway. It's technical parity, right? We're going to find all these contracts that say games need to run like whatever. No nonsense like that. We're going to see things that we already know about. We know what Sony are doing. We don't know how much they're paying, but then that's not necessarily any of our business. And I don't know how much of this information is going to leak out to us publicly. Really, you'd think that the FTC, Microsoft, and Sony and all of their lawyers would keep these things pretty under wraps in court.
If it goes to court, it'll be public. For sure.
Well, they may try to like have closed door hearings and things like that in the interest of business.
I doubt that would happen. I doubt that would happen.
I actually don't think this is going to go to trial.
Yeah,
right?
But if it did, I think it would.
I think either the CMA is going to block it or whatever. I know we have reporting that the EU might pass it or whatever. So it's either going to get blocked before we get to a case, and then in that case, I think maybe Microsoft kind of walks away from the whole thing, or the EU and the CMA are going to approve it, and if they do, I don't think the FTC goes to trial, and I think this never sees the light of day. I think if Sony sees Microsoft is getting headwind, especially at the CMA, if they can get through the gauntlet that is EU and CMA, I don't think Sony is going to leave all their hopes on the FTC negotiating for them with Microsoft. I think they get on board and sign a deal, and then that takes away the FTC's whole case, and then this thing never goes to court. So I don't think we're ever going to see any of this.
Because if it does, like I said, it'll most likely be public, and I think that Sony doesn't want that information out, especially because you might see things in there like what they actually pay to keep things off Game Pass.
That's what Tom Warren was saying. You're saying like that. That's what they will do. Like that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, or what they pay to just try to keep games off of Xbox. Period. And
I'd love to
that
see
would be
that,
very damaging.
That's what I'm saying. I can't see that happening, Fonz. I'm with you there.
So they're going to try their hardest to just skip this court altogether. That's what might make this deal just go through. They might just say, whatever, okay, just do it, because we don't want all this information to get out. So
I'm with you there.
And to that end, right? You're gonna have to go in front of this judge, who again seems very just by the books. This is what the law, whatever. Even if you look at his explanations for why he did and didn't grant Sony's requests, it was like, this is what the law is. This is what you did. That's what we're doing, right? There was no feelings in it, right? This entire case is based on, could Microsoft foreclose COD, right? And foreclose that content. And the judge is going to have to decide whether, looking at all of these contracts, that's the whole entire business is about foreclosing, right? That's the whole thing. You're going to have to say, and I know COD is much bigger, but just because you're bigger doesn't necessarily mean whatever, right? So the judge is going to have to decide, this is what the market leader is doing. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. That is just the business. So if that is the business, the judge is going to have to decide that all of that foreclosure is okay, but this foreclosure is wrong. And I don't know. I don't know that the judge kind of decides that.
Somebody in the chat was...
aside from the fact that this is a vertical merger and there's 50 years of precedent, and again, if you look at this judge, go look up the Lumina Grail case that he ruled on and threw out, right? This is not about, COD's so big, so they're going to do it. There is really no precedent for this kind of a merger.
I thought this case was basically about... them acquiring the studio would make this anti-competitive, or this would be anti-competitive.
But the reason it would be the risk that was posed was that they could use the content, to foreclose their competitors.
And that's why, because somebody in the chat was saying, well, so what? It's business. So what if that information comes out that they were paying to take games off of Game Pass or keep them off of Game Pass? The reason why it's so important is because they're playing the same type of game. Like, business is business, and you can be cutthroat, but to point fingers at somebody else and says, you can't do this, but we can, it just looks bad.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That kills the argument. If you look at the on the equitable merit of the case, if this comes out, like, obviously the order is made, and if it sees the light of day, you could potentially see very egregious, very invasive, very aggressive precedent. Even we can see it.
Nobody's saying Microsoft is a good guy. Don't get me wrong. Microsoft, they have done pretty horrendous stuff, and they're not the savior of gaming. Okay, don't think that way. They are a business, number one. But they both do crappy stuff. But at the end of the day, if one company's pointing at the other one saying you're doing crappy stuff, but you're also doing that crappy stuff, and it comes to light, it's going to look bad for you in court.
Right. That's the irony, Albert G, who made that question, Albert G said, what's wrong with it? It's business. Has now said, play the chess game, don't buy the chessboard. Like, he's picking the rules.
This is my thing. It is not about the morality of all this and Jim dance moves or Phil dominance, whatever. None of that matters, right? The only thing that will matter in terms of passing this is it legal or is it not legal? That's all these companies are going to do. That's all the judges are going to do. They're going to make a determination based on historical precedents. They're going to make a determination based on whatever the laws on the books are, and that's it. So Sony
and a policy decision isn't just laws. It's someone has to sit there and then have to stroke their beard and say, well, we postulate that this kind of measure would impinge community competition.
No, that's for the FCC to say. The judge is just going to look and say,
yes, you're right. The judge will look.
Are these laws on the books to say? It could be terrible, but do the laws make it illegal?
The judge said on that? It can't. There's too much precedent there. for it to be.
And that's the thing. I think we got to take morals out of it. Microsoft is not your friend. Sony is not your enemy. Whatever deals that Sony can make, it's because that they have the market power to do that, and they've earned that market power. None of that matters. What matters in this case with Activision is, are they legally allowed to buy it based on whatever laws are in the books, in the jurisdictions where they need regulatory approval? And if it is, the deal will go through, right? And that's it, right? But again, if the FTC has to prove their case, and their case is saying that foreclosure is anti-competitive, and now what Sony is going to have to show, or what Microsoft is showing, is that Sony's entire model is foreclosure. So are you saying you're changing the nature of that business? And if foreclosure is illegal, then what happens then to Sony after this is all done? Because Lena Khan doesn't strike me as the type who's going to say, well, no, you get a pass, Sony, if we don't like those things. I would not be surprised if Sony signed a deal with Microsoft before the deadline came to give these documents, to be complete.
I agree with you. I cannot see, it would be massively detrimental. Well, one, the disclosure of those deals, but two, I cannot see how that would help their case. Yeah. They're just too. This is what we've always been saying, like how the ludicrous nature of this deal, because it's Microsoft versus Sony. Sony has such a mad precedent of doing this that, yes, it's COD, it's one entity and dominates the airwaves, but you have so much volume of Sony doing it. It's their modus operandi. So any judge looking at that, and he has ordered this to be disclosed. Now what happens? Sony's going to look really bad. But what I would love to see are the devils in the details. How much they offered potentially to stop a game from appearing on Game Pass. What kind of conversations were happening on that? And I just don't. My suspicion is, you say it's just business, but I think Sony were very, very aggressive. What I found quite laughable, a lot of journalists like siding slowly because this ruling came out. I feel like some journalists with a bias were very perturbed by this, and they were like, well, and then went back to Starfield, or like, what? But Phil Spencer has a silver tongue, Starfield, and he said, but there's this thing like, why? I mean, like, you've gone back down to now relying on it. And Phil Spencer actually in a very good interview with Xbox On. Xbox On. Yeah. Xbox On. The lady really did conduct the interview really well. And she sort of brought this to Phil Spencer's attention because, well, a lot of people say, well, you did it with Starfield. You made those games exclusive. Why would you not do it again? And he did say, if I recall correctly, I've never explicitly said Starfield would not be exclusive, and he's correct. But people are picking on the wording of Todd Howard or some the other chap who's someone tweeted out. He's Pete Hines.
They're grabbing on to dear life because they want to make this point out that is a moot point because we can't let it go. And the reason you saw all these journalists talk about this, because for the first time they actually thought, hey, this thing might actually go through. Oh my God. And they don't like that. And so you'll see the weirdest, nonsensical takes, the most cynical, like overly cynical to the point where it's not being cynical, it's being disingenuous. You'll see all of those things in hope that the regulators read these things because this is them doing their part. That's what's happening. Right?
I can't believe that it's Sony we're talking about. We're talking about PlayStation, and we're talking about fanboy. We're talking about journalists who, on the one hand, routinely piss on Xbox for not having exclusives. When it puts 70 billion of its own money on the table, has its own first-party studios, and you still point at that. Let's say you're doomed if you do, damned if you do, damned if you don't. And I couldn't believe the hypocrisy of that statement. But it's actually all about, it's good that Xbox is having exclusives, but Phil Spencer said,
but then it's organic growth. It's about organic growth.
And then you've got Bungie getting acquired. And then you say organic, and the word organic comes out.
People want to say Starfield and bring it up. Did you know, if you actually read the preliminary findings from the CMA, they agree that Microsoft kept their words vis-a-vis ZeniMax. I could read you the quote if you want to hear it.
No, don't.
If you got a quote?
I do have a quote, yes.
Let me read it.
All right. ZeniMax has published 2 games since the acquisition by Microsoft: Deathloop in September 2021 and Ghostwire Tokyo March 2022. Both games were released under 1-year exclusive contracts with PlayStation, which were agreed prior to the acquisition. Therefore, it seems that Microsoft has honored existing contractual agreements and acted in accordance with statements it made on ZeniMax acquisition. And then it quotes whatever paragraph 537, because they have references to other things. Deathloop has since been released on Xbox and Game Pass in September 2022. In addition of new content available across all platforms. So even the CMA, we already know the EU said Microsoft honored their word. Even the CMA, who seems to be the most distrustful of Microsoft, says that Microsoft honored their word vis-a-vis ZeniMax. That's not me saying it. Mm-hmm. So them bringing up saying, oh, Phil is slick with his words, they're saying that because they want to say it. It is not because it's true.
Let me say this though. Phil is slick with his words. He has to word things a certain way, and he did tiptoe around the situation. But he couldn't. What he said, he never said there was going to be a PlayStation 5 version of Starfield. That was never said.
Never explicitly.
People that think that even if there was a PlayStation 5 version in existence being made at the time, it doesn't matter. Once the company was bought out and stuff, it doesn't matter if there was a PlayStation game being made. At that point, it's bought by another company. It's no longer a multi-plat developer. It is now an Xbox developer. All these games, and I have to add this point too, the idiocy of some fanboys out there that promote this thing that, that game was in pre-production before the studios were bought. Doesn't matter. Still an Xbox game.
Well,
yeah, and the funny thing about that too is if a game comes out and it's good, it's not an Xbox game. But if it comes out and it's bad, it's an Xbox game.
Well, we know that's going to happen.
That's ridiculous.
It's already happening.
Yeah, it's so dumb. So dumb. That's how dumb some of these fanboys are.
Right. And this is the ultimate truth of it, right? While the ZeniMax acquisition was happening, all they said was we can't talk about it until the deal is closed. Literally the day after the deal actually closed, what did they say? The games will be exclusive. Fonz, you have that in your soundboard. What Phil Spencer said the day after they actually.
This is about delivering great exclusive games for you. That ship
and that is all that matters.
Where Game Pass exists.
That's boom, 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 right? But that's all that matters. What did he say after he owns it, right? Once Microsoft owns it, they were very clear from day one after the thing closed, Xbox Bethesda event, this is what it's about. It's about exclusive games. So to pretend anything else happened is just it's like a circle jerk so that we can argue, so that we can make some point to say Phil lied to me and now I'm holding my blankie and I'm not going to get Starfield. He's not a nice man.
Face.
I'm just
what did Face say? I can't see
his super chat.
I see it now. I want to see the same energy if Sony buys a publisher.
What
they bought Bungie.
Oh my god! Yeah, I want to see the same energy from you guys. Exactly. Nobody on this side has that energy that's against this deal. Matter of fact, what we like is the fact that Microsoft buying ABK is going to light a fire under Sony's ass, so they'll do something else besides a walking sad dad simulator. And I like those walking sad dad simulators. Don't get me wrong, but they need to do more than just relying on CODs and other multi-plat games for many years now. And they're sad dad games. Sorry, but they need to do more. And this will entice them to do more. So it's good for competition. If they buy a publisher, it's because ABK was bought. And that's a great thing. I will applaud Sony if they buy a publisher. I will applaud them if they buy it. I will applaud them if they buy them. I don't care who it is. It could be Grand Theft Auto. It could be 2K. It could be whoever. And I will applaud them. I'll be excited. You know why? It's competition. Competition. Competition, baby.
They bought Bungie, man. Like, you can't talk about organic growth. They're running out of excuses.
Goalposts are always moved. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Let me read the super chats. Got Emperor Sofocate with the $2 super chat. Microsoft can close over the FTC and CMA if the EU goes through. I don't know. I'm not a mergers and acquisition specialist. GSD getting stuff done with the $5 super chat. Don't forget Gamergate case. They will request the same document. I don't know what he's talking about there.
I don't.
So Hussein Al-Raji, great show, guys. Hey, guys, it's your Twitter meme friend, of course. Thank you for the super chat and for the other super chat with the little emoji. Ultimately, Face, you did walk into that. Like, what? Come on, man. Like,
who has the energy against this? Like, if they buy a publisher, great, grand, awesome.
Let him do it. Made a video on it.
Baby. Competition, love it.
Absolutely.
You know why I love it? Because you see that box back there? I have a PlayStation 5 myself. So I mean, what do I care?
Even furthermore, like if that bold-faced lie that they're going to buy Take-Two, if they did buy Take-Two, that would be fine too, because you know why? It's mutually assured destruction. They have a nuke that would be GTA. Microsoft would have a nuke that would be COD, and they would use those and they would compete with each other, or they would ensure that no one took it off their platform. So it would be good either way. I hope Sony buys Take-Two, right? Because that will give them even more things to compete with. No one is upset about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I've always been pro consolidation.
I would like to apologize to Asa. I see his eyes glazing over.
I'm very much ready to end.
He's ready.
Yeah, because he's waking up early tomorrow. Let's wind this down.
Come on. Let's do it for
Yes, we do. It has gone on for a while.
I do need to. I will cry, and I will cry worse than they cry about Starfield if Sony buys it. That's the only one that is off limits.
I don't mind.
Sony buys Sega, please.
No,
please do. They're Japanese; they can do it. Randy G with the $5 super chat. Sony got the regulators to define the gaming market as high-end consoles, which is only between Xbox and Sony. Then their involvement may come back to her. Absolutely, Randy G. A lot of people were crying about the pie chart where it was Microsoft presented Sony, and then there's little tiny slither of Xbox. Yeah, but that's Sony's argument. That was the CMA's argument. Nintendo's a different thing.
Well, hold on a minute. Yep. If they're going to go down that road, then maybe we shouldn't count the Series S. Right?
Oh my God!
They said it's a potato, right? So let's just count Series X sales versus.
Hey, let's get on for Asa. Let's get on for Asa.
Well, let's gents. We could have gone on for a while, but it's quite late. And Asa needs to get up in 5 hours.
Even for me, I've got to go too.
Oh, apologies. It was a good show. It was a great show. Thank you, everyone in chat. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button. Shout out to the winner as well who won Wolong. We are going to wind it down. I don't want to end it, but Ace's eyes are screaming at me. Before we go, Everborn, you fixed your mic just in time and you joined us and graced us with your knowledge. Thank you, sir. I hope you had a good time. Tell everyone where they can find you. Thank you. And where can they find you?
You can find me everywhere at Everborn Saga. That's on YouTube, that's on Twitter, that's on Xbox, PlayStation, and Steam. That is on Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff. But most importantly, go to everbornsaga.com. You may not know this, but we make books. We make it's like a hybrid between anime and Western fantasy, or I should say manga and Western style fantasy storytelling. Check it out. Right now, we have a big sale going on where you can get all of our books in one package put together, and it's $50. That's 6 chapters, over 300 pages of full color content. Go to everbornsaga.com. Look at one of the books. I promise you, you can see it right there. Right, you get everything in there. We try not to mess around. So I like to call it Lord of the Rings meets X-Men. And I won't say any more because I don't want to waste everybody's time. But go to everbornsaga.com. I promise you will not be disappointed.
Absolutely. Shout out to Everborn, and this is dank content here. I bought it on Amazon, so if you're in the UK, you can still get it straight away on Prime. But yeah, thank you. Yes,
it does work with free Prime shipping. If you are outside of the US, I recommend going through Amazon. All of our books are there. Just type in Everborn.
Absolutely, do so. And last but certainly not least, Fons Zarelli Gaming. As always, you've been on the show like innumerable times. I hope you had a good time, and tell the good people where they can find you.
Well, they can find me at Fonz Gaming here on YouTube and Twitter, and they can find me tomorrow on my show, Games Talk Live. I will have Plume Network on tomorrow. We're going to have a good time. And that'll be 3 p.m. Pacific time, 6 p.m. Eastern. Back a couple hours because I needed to change the time. Okay. It was too late. Also, I don't have any fancy books that I'm peddling or anything, but I do have a VHS tape of my new movie. If you guys are interested. No, I don't. Anyways.
Porn. Adult movie.
Yeah, it is. It's yeah. That vending machine we talked about earlier with the atomic heart. Yeah, way worse. Anyways, yeah, I've got nothing else going on besides my podcast, and yeah, gonna have a good time tomorrow. I had a great time with you, Gaz, and you, Asa. Always awesome.
Oh wait, sorry. Before you move on, Gaming Circle podcast every Saturday. What am I doing? I'm on a podcast every Saturday with Kay Asante on the Gaming Circle podcast every week, Saturday, 10 a.m. Please go there. Kay Asante was going to punch me in the face if I didn't mention it. I'm sorry.
But yeah, absolutely. God Emperor Sofa King with the super chat. I missed it. Sorry, apologies. What did he say? Can you paste it?
He said, Gaz, you suck. Asa's tired. Let him go to bed.
Say it while Asa's telling us, doing his outro, and I'll buy some time. Asa.
I am not buying you any time. I have no outro today. I'm in the usual places doing lots of stuff. There's some PlayStation VR 2, there's some PC VR, there's some Pancake games, there's my usual show on a Thursday, and all of that kind of stuff. And I apologize for like sinking away from the conversation for the last hour or so, but I'm tired and I really need to go. So thank you for the 500 plus people that did come and enjoy this with us, and both guests as well. Great conversations as always. So yeah, you Gaz, do your last bits.
Very quickly, no pressure, Gaz. Shout out to 500 whatever people still watching. Thank you so much for supporting us. I hope you like the content today. We put out my impression Let's Play of Wolong, and I will be streaming soon because you're like, this guy's play games. I will show you how to play games, you pieces of. And on that note, we have lots of content for you. Thank you so much for the support, and hopefully we'll see you very soon next week. Thank you. Take care. Goodbye. I love you all.
Shut up, guys.
Peace.
As you play.